Hello, beautiful people. How's it
Hey,
going? Sorry, I
Doing
just
good.
threw you guys on there that fast. I'm sorry.
that's fine.
Um,
That's fine.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I know I haven't been on my live for so long, but I'm excited to do this again, especially with Mr. Handsome Justin and beautiful Ivy.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you as well for y'all for being patient. I haven't been on for a while, and but today's gonna be special because Ivy has thought of this idea of recapping the protest and recapping me and Justin's life outside of the protest because we didn't get to make it, which is sad, but that's okay. We all have lives. We're all busy. But I just want to introduce you guys to Justin, ExJw Diaries. If you guys are not familiar with his channel, he's a wonderful guy. He actually hosted the Be Free movement in 2023. And here's Ivy, who hosted this year's Be Free movement. And I don't know, maybe I'll host it next year. Who knows? I don't know, but we'll see. I don't have a way with words as much as these guys do, but we'll keep it going. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. Is that all? Is it good? You guys hear me too?
Oh my
You got a
gosh,
good mic.
like the
All right,
whole
thank you.
meeting. Can you hear me? I'm gonna act like this is my first time. I'm trying to log into the meeting.
Right, right, yep. You raise your hand for a comment, brother. Do you hear me, sister? Do you hear me? And you repeat it like 10 times. Every time you're about to comment, can you hear me?
My mic is on.
Yeah, I'm standing right now, so because I got this new standing desk and I'm loving it.
Oh,
What?
nice.
So I just want to let loose a little bit.
I love it.
But
So good. Oh my gosh,
yeah, I'm gonna be
this is so
standing.
great.
We're probably gonna do this for an hour, right? So let's see if I can do this.
And you
But
can always like walk in place. If you got a fitness,
yeah,
you can get your steps in.
heck yeah.
You can bust a few squats if you like. You know what I'm saying?
I don't wanna. I don't wanna get anybody jealous now.
I'm saying. I'm saying.
Let's welcome who's in the chat right now. We got Fallen
Oh,
Ashes.
Fallen Ashes, what's up, girl?
Hey, you did a
How's it
good job
going?
on your speech at the protest this year.
Oh my gosh. I
Great
almost
job.
broke
Yeah,
down. I was like, please keep it together. Keep it together.
she was the first one, right? The
She
first one gave a speech.
was.
That's a big step right there.
I know. She was
Yeah.
brave. She was like, let me just leap out here.
My wife loved her. Like we were in the car and I had it on the radio,
Yeah.
and I actually pulled over to the gas station and we were still with the doors open, blasting her speech. And my wife was like, "You go, girl." It was awesome. And we got Ruby on here. What's up, Rubes?
Hey, Ruby. I think Ruby down here with me in Tampa. We're gonna have to link up.
Yeah, we gotta get her out of Florida. We gotta just like kidnap her or something. Wear some masks. Did I say
Fact.
that loud? All right, so Kenny, what's
I
up,
got stuff
Kenny?
keeping zip ties.
Right, right. There, hey, I'm at work, but I'm listening. That's okay, Kenny. Good. At least you're being
Oh, yay,
faithful. We love
Kenny.
that.
We got to hang out with Kenny on the whole weekend almost. Like Friday, we went to the rooftop, and then Sunday we had the pool party. Yeah, Kenny's my
Oh
dog.
man.
Nice, nice. Dinah, what's up?
Dinah lost. She said again. Yes.
And I don't know who this is, Home in a Blanket, but hey,
Oh, that sounds great though.
It does.
Home in a Blanket. Yes, it does. We got a
Yeah,
few
welcome
people. I
everybody.
gotta check who's online for because I have this streaming on Facebook. I have this streaming on another YouTube channel and this channel. So
I love it.
I'm not sure. I can't really see, but anyway, that's okay. We welcome you guys because we had a busy weekend last weekend with this movement that we had. It was pretty special, pretty epic. I didn't get to go. Justin didn't get to go. Ivy, like, how was that? Like, it was it? I can't say it was better than last year because I was there, but but it felt like it was a lot better, wasn't it? Like, it was a lot more interactive. I felt like there was a lot more people too.
Um, I think this year we may have had less people,
Okay.
which is fine. There was a lot of new people. So like there was some overlap from last year where a few people came back, but then there was like a wave of new people that I had never met before. And that was really, really awesome. And I think there was more people there that were encouraged to like come out of the shadows to like stepping out. because I noticed there were some outliers that were just kind of observing. Like you wouldn't know that they were there for the protest until they
Yeah,
felt safe, you know?
Mhm.
I
So
noticed
that was
that.
really cool. And for me, it was actually pretty overwhelming, to be honest. Like being chosen as the team lead for the movement was just like, okay, I'll do it. But getting there, it's so funny. I think Matt took a picture of me like looking at my cue cards. And he was like, why do you look like you're preparing for a talk? So he took a picture of me like prepping.
Yep.
I mean, the weather was much better, obviously, because last year was at the end
Yeah.
of October. This year we're beginning of September, and it was beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely no coats, no jackets needed. We took this huge group photo at the end. The speakers, obviously, I think it was a brilliant idea, you know, to kind of have that meetup with you guys before and just kind of get a feel for you, and what you wanted to accomplish with your speeches. And I think everybody did a beautiful, beautiful job of conveying not just the pain, but just like why it's important for people to understand
Mm,
that this is an issue that needs attention and we need to fix it. We need to know how to go about fixing it. So,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah, it was fun. It was
that's
fun.
awesome.
But it was
Yeah.
emotional too, right? It was healing, which I know you guys experienced that last year. So like Justin, you hosted last year and you had to manage, you know, the side notes, the footnotes, all the people. What
Hmm.
was it like for you emotionally, like preparing and then being there?
I mean, I can agree with you. It was overwhelming, just because it's that was the first time that we had done to the protest,
Yeah.
and we had never done this. It's something new, so just that fact was overwhelming. But along with that overwhelming feeling, there's also this feeling that you're doing something bigger. We're able to reach people that we aren't normally able to reach. You're able to help people get out their stories, people that some people have never heard from,
Hmm.
and people who don't normally speak out.
Yeah.
That's even more important, to get the people that don't normally speak out, that here they are, they're able to finally share their story in a very impactful way. So overwhelming, but definitely a great privilege. And yeah, I hope more and more of them come in the future.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Now, MJ, you came last year and you were
Hmm.
like recording and stuff. So I know you were actually going through some things last year around that same time frame,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, what were some of the things you had to overcome to get there last year?
So my wife was pregnant at the time,
Okay.
and I also had to overcome the trying to calm my wife down because when you're a Jehovah's Witness and you've been there all of your life, pretty much, you're conditioned to think that protests are a bad thing. And my wife was extremely nervous. So I had to continuously calm her down and then say, it's going to be okay. There's going to be cops there, if anything. And we're going to be with a lot of ex members who basically have become a brotherhood now. So I'm
Yeah.
well protected, not just by the law, but because of our fellow brothers, in love, not in faith this time. And I had to remind her of that. And then I did have car problems too, but I just decided to pray about it, and I just got in my vehicle and just took off. And it actually took an hour more than I thought to get there, but I got there in time, luckily. I know that the first person I saw there was Justin, so I was like, "Oh snap!" and but it was overwhelming. It was great. I felt very, very not just privileged but proud to be there, because of the accomplishments, the short span that I basically have from being out of the religion to be able to be there within what 5 6 months after I left. It was a big step, but I was honored to be there. I was even honored to have Justin, use me to hold his phone and record the stream and me stream as well. But those are the challenges then, of before getting there. This year I had issues as well. I Now the baby is born, and he's 8 9 months right now, and but that wasn't the struggle. The struggle was my car. This time it was even worse. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I had financial issues too, and I did hit a dark. I had a dark episode where I was just frustrated. I was sad, depressed because I really wanted to be there, but In the end, I really thought about that. I'm like, maybe it's just not meant to be this year. Maybe I got to take care of a few things first and then prepare myself if we do this again next year. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm preparing myself better this time around, more focused on that. And hopefully we do this again next year.
Yeah. We met so many people though from like Washington State, because that's where you're at, Justin, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were there saying like, "Oh my gosh, I want us to do this again," or "Do we have to wait till next year?" or "How can I be involved?" And there were so many people from different states actually represented this time. Like there was someone from Las Vegas. We had, of course, Jersey, New York, PA, DC, and everything. But Ohio was in the building. Georgia was there.
Yeah.
I believe Alabama was there. Canada was there. UK was there. So it was just really nice, like you said, to where we're forming this network of people, over shared trauma and shared experiences that is actually real. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no reason for anyone to not be kind or love the other person, right? It's not like, "Oh, your car broke down, I can't talk to you," or like, "Oh, you had a baby and you're not married, oh, I can't talk to you." So it's nice to be able to have those authentic, genuine relationships. And you're right, MJ. Like, I don't think anything should be forced. That's like my new motto anyway. It's like, if it is going to work, it's going to work. If
Right.
it's not going to work, then it's just not the time for it to work. In any situation, all I can do is give my best. And that's it. Like I have to be content with that. And so does everybody else. And if you're not, then, you know,
Yeah.
like years of striving for perfection and constantly trying to please other people, that causes a lot of, I don't know about you guys, but it caused me a lot of internal anxiety,
Yeah.
caused a
Yeah.
lot of sad moments, dark moments, because you just don't feel like you are measuring up constantly.
Definitely. That word perfection in itself, it was very triggering for me for a while because we were conditioned to think that we're supposed to be perfect, but we can't be because we're imperfect, which is weird because you would think that if they're teaching us that imperfection is a possibility, why push perfection so much? Just
Yeah.
because we've sinned. I mean, we're sinful, we're imperfect. I mean, I know a lot of people don't, decided to like steer away from Christianity or even faith in God at all. But what I want to say is, for those of you that do believe in God, I mean, Jesus is a type of person that gave up his life for sins. So why are we punishing our people who can't live up to that type of perfection where we're not supposed to sin? We're all forgiven from the very get go. So why keep pushing it? But yeah, it was very triggering. And then when I left the religion, I saw things from a different perspective. Like perfection now is you're achieving it instead of expecting it. And it's all on your plate because when you're a witness, you're expected to think Jehovah's the one that got you. Every accomplishment that you make is because it's Jehovah's doing. When in reality, it's you. You're the one making the steps to better your life. You should be the one congratulating yourself. You're the one that's making your life perfect. And if everything else breaks that apart, it's okay. Just learn from it and move on. But yeah, that word perfection was pretty misunderstood, I guess I could say, and very triggering.
I think same with the word humble.
Yeah.
That's another one that was misunderstood, misused, and it's used in conjunction with that perfection. Just to keep you down, keep you feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not what humility is at all. It's not to feel
No.
less about yourself. It's just not to think, more about yourself than it's unnecessary.
Right.
you
It's just
know,
like
yeah.
not to be haughty, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
You can have pride. You can be, prideful in terms of, okay, this is what I worked for. Like, for example, I'm going to the gym. I have a trainer. Once I get to the end of that experience, I should congratulate myself because one, I had to wheel myself out of the bed at 5:30 in the morning to go work out. I have to will myself to like stick to the diet, ingest enough protein, like all of the things that come with that. So yes, I should be able to be like, hooray me, because I
Yeah.
did it, and not to have to constantly feel like I'm doing this over my accomplishments. Like, no, not me. Oh, without, Jehovah's help, I wouldn't. And it's like, no, that's not the case. I would imagine he would want us to be proud of the things that we were created with, right? All these gifts that we have,
The
why should
beard.
we not express? Just say the beard. Listen, we're not even gonna talk about that beer issue because that was like, you guys know how much drama that beer issue caused me in my marriage.
You told me, yeah. Remember?
It was ridiculous, and then only for them to go back on it. I'm like, that could have been one item off of my plate that would have minimized or ceased a lot of arguments, like a lot of cover snatching.
Right.
Like, man. So this is Justin, like, when you came to the protest last year, how long had you been out of the organization?
Oh, let me do the math here. It's still early in my side of the country, so let me see. I woke up in 2017.
Oh wow.
I actually did not. Well, my story, it was staggered because even though I woke up, I wasn't fully out because I was still working for a witness-owned company. So even when I got to the point of no longer going to meetings or anything like that, I was still under their control. I still had to pretend like I was a witness, so I wasn't fully free. But I don't know. I would say probably like 5-6 years. So out enough that I've had time to heal and work on myself, but still recent enough that it's some of those wounds are still fresh.
Yeah. So listen, you said that you had to pretend because your employer was a Jehovah's Witness. Did you have fear that they would fire you or let you go?
Oh, of course. Because not only you're talking the entire hierarchy of the company. My direct manager, his manager, the owner of the company, and along with, about 80% of the people who were working there were all witnesses. And not just half witnesses. I'm talking pioneers, elders, servants. And when I started working at the company, I was a servant. So they're expecting me to still be at that level of a witness.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I'm not even going to meetings anymore. So every time I go into work after a meeting night,
Where were you?
I'm fearing that they're going to ask, "Oh, how was your meeting?" And I don't know what was I don't know what was talked about. So for a little while there, I still had to actually go through and pretend like I was, or not pretend, actually read through the study just to see what was talked about.
Just in
That way, if it
case.
came up, I would know.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
yeah, it was a year of that.
wow. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think your average person actually thinks about that aspect of trying to escape or trying to leave, because your average person, if they went to First Baptist Church and they decided to go to Third Baptist or Pentecostal, they don't have to worry about getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to worry about their entire livelihood just being gone like that, simply
Yeah.
because exercising a choice to practice somewhere else or to believe in something different or to take a time out for self-evaluation when it comes to their spirituality. So like, that's a huge thing that people miss. And it's more than just y'all don't do birthdays or holidays or take blood transfusions. It's like, no, people's lives
Yeah.
are actually like held hostage
Yeah.
so that you can just constantly comply. Like,
Yeah.
what if you were a caretaker for a relative or for a grandparent or something like that, and you need your income, and you're like, I don't have the freedom of expression to just be me because they're gonna fire me, and that's
Yeah.
insane.
And not only
Mm-hmm.
that, wait, let me just for Valicia, she's asking when I got TFO. I'll let you guys figure out what that stands for.
I think I know. It's the last word.
That was 2019. That's when I went from PMO to TFO. So
Oh,
2019 is when I finally got a different job and yeah, actually got completely out.
Yeah.
so I want to know the mentality that you like. Did you experience depression, anxiety? Did you have to go to therapy? Like, what did you do to cope that whole year while you were trying to be able to just be yourself?
Yeah, all the above. Yeah, it's. I probably experienced more anxiety in that last year than I had in the entire time I was a witness.
Mm.
Because I probably had anxiety when I was a witness, but now
Yeah.
that's at the front door. You
Mm.
can't ignore it. You're going into the lion's den at your job every day, and you know, yeah, it's okay if I mention it. I'll just say the company I was working at, I could look outside my window and see the assembly hall. So not only was I going to a job where that was owned by witnesses, I had to every day see the place where I sold my soul to this corporation. I mean, you want to talk about triggering? anxiety, depression. I mean, off the charts, off the charts. There was times when that's where I actually understand people that get to the point of being suicidal. Because
Yeah.
when you're going through that experience of leaving this organization, even when you're not losing your family, because that's the thing about my story that's different than most people. I was the last one in. My family had already left. They didn't get disfellowshipped or officially leave. I wasn't shunned from them, or I wasn't shunning them rather. They were just inactive. So I was the only one going. As soon as I stopped, everybody else stopped. So I didn't have to deal with the family shunning aspect. I definitely had to deal with the friend shunning,
Hmm.
but I did have to deal with this whole job situation that kept me in, and yeah, and having to see that assembly hall every single day. I mean, it's a traumatizing experience. It's psychological torture,
Yeah.
and and there was times when I wanted to speak out, times when I wanted to. I mean, like I got my ears pierced, I got tattoos. I mean, when you leave the witnesses, you finally have that chance to grow into yourself, do the things you always wanted to do, have that self expression that you never had.
Yeah.
But since I was still working for that company, all of that stuff was delayed.
And
So there was
suppressed.
a time when I was kind of, there's the exit door, and I was only kind of halfway out for a second. So it was tough.
So who, I mean, like who helped you then? Like who helped you get through those dark times, those moments of suicidal thoughts and ideations? Like, because it sounds like you was basically kind of by yourself in
Mhm.
this journey of trying to escape.
I mean, yeah, my parents helped me as much as they could, but again, they were inactive. They had been out of it for many years. You kind of forget. I was the one that had gotten the deepest into it, become a ministerial servant. I was giving public talk. I was on my way to becoming an elder. So yeah, it was a very lonely experience. It's something that, and again, my family was inactive. They hadn't gone through that process of actually trying to leave.
Hmm.
Actually trying to deprogram
Deconstruct.
themselves, and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So uh, yeah, it's a lonely experience. And what helped me, and it's a big reason why I started my channel in the first place, what helped me was watching videos, seeing that I wasn't the only one who has gone through this experience, seeing that, the reasons why I was feeling so down, so low, and just not even wanting to live anymore at some points, was just seeing other people talk about it. I mean, it's so helpful. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's heavy. Like every time I think about the
You're
different
welcome.
nuances of everybody's situation, it's so heavy. And it's really like, really? It's such a foreign concept when we talk to people who were never in a high demanding or cult environment. And it's just like, they're baffled, like trying to explain to people that, oh, the men are allowed, they've been given permission to wear beards now, or the women have been given permission to wear pants to their place of worship. It's just like, wait, what? And it seems so obvious to people on the outside, like, oh yeah, that's a cult. Before you even finish saying what you're saying, they're like, oh yeah, that's a cult. Meanwhile, you're like, dang, was I really in a cult? Like, dang, I keep getting hit with this reminder, like, how did you, and then I know y'all had this, like, how did I fall for this? Like, how was I
Mm.
so caught up in this?
I had that conversation today with my wife. I was like, how did we just like let ourselves be manipulated this way? And it's the speech, the type of speech they use, the words that they use. It's and then using the word truth all the time. It can be very hypnotizing. I mean, Garrett Loesch in one of his talks said the word truth 120 times in one talk. And
Wow.
then David Splang just goes and says that was I forget what he was. He said that was I forget what he said, but he made it sound like he knew that
mhm,
this was on purpose.
I believe it.
Absorbing. He said that was a wonderful absorbing talk. Thank you very much, Gary Loesch. I'm like, what? He knew this was all a plan. This was just to manipulate people.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
want to
these
ask
aren't these aren't
Justin.
dumb people.
No, they're not. That's what I always say. I
They're
was like,
not dumb people at all. They
they
know what's going
may
on.
they're not they may not be dumb, but they do play dumb sometimes, and they want
Yeah,
you. to be dumb as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're smart people. They know
Oh,
exactly what they're doing. I mean, it is a
Mm-hmm.
business, right? I mean, when you're a
Mm-hmm.
business, it's a dog eat dog world out there, right? So you
Yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do in order to survive, and that's their mo. Try to do what they gotta do in order to stay at the top, and even if that means they gotta lie, they're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Those words have such power. I think I was mentioning in the opening speech about how powerful words are. And I feel like in our society now, there's such emphasis on words, but the wrong words, and we already know in we already have seen a person on the national stage say some absurd things that have hurt people, that have cost people their lives. It is absolutely ridiculous, and it's no different from what the Watchtower is doing.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that clip, and I don't know who the guy is, I don't get into their names, but he said that they don't have to be embarrassed for not getting it just right. Like he did the literal, like just right. And he was like, nor do we need to apologize. And I thought, wow, that is a very bold statement to make, to say, we know we told y'all it was this for the last 100+ years, but now we're telling you it's this because it's new light. And we don't need to be embarrassed about that we didn't get it right before. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't need to apologize to you guys for making this shift. It's not even like there was a transition period, like, hey, in 2025, we're going to start to implement these changes. Like there's no onboarding process or
Right.
nothing. They just new light and then they change things. No, this is policy changes. Because again, MJ, like you said, this is a corporation this is an incorporation that we're dealing with. And I don't think I realized that until after I got out. Because I'm
Yeah.
just looking at it as an, a religious organization that is the truth, that serves the only one true God, and that we are God's chosen direct people on this planet. So we're
Yep.
special out of everybody else. And like you said, those words just constantly conditioning the truth, the only one, special, God's chosen people to bear his name. Like all these things are just pumping you up. But now it's like, wait, they're a nonprofit. Let's look at the legals. Let's look at actually how things are structured. They're a nonprofit governed by this incorporation. This incorporation, is business, has to be the one to dictate or determine how the flow of the nonprofit works, right? And so somebody was like, yeah, they started off as this big mega house publishing company, right? And I'm like, I remember that. There was a lot of emphasis on the publishing. I visited the Bethel when it was in Brooklyn. I'm like, okay. And then now they're like, yeah, they switched from printing to now real estate. So I've gone to a couple of sites. They have massive real estate overseas, just everywhere. And I could not believe it when I found out that they were worth multiple billions of dollars. Like, how are you a nonprofit worth billions of dollars and you have no social services for your members or for the community? I'm baffled by that.
It has a lot to do with the stocks that they're into, the the investments that they have in companies
Mm-hmm.
that, whereas otherwise they would consider demonic or bad, or
Yeah. Weapons
they
manufacturers.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
That's
yeah.
crazy because they taught us not to invest in this world, this system. It's like the Titanic is going down. Why would you want to invest in it? It's going bankrupt. Why do you want to invest? Store up your treasures in heaven, do all the things for the kingdom, keep busy. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they got a diversified portfolio. They got stocks. And I thought about this. I'm like, okay, none of the governing body, right, which are the board members to the nonprofit, they don't work. They haven't worked in decades and they're old now. So I'm like, what are they going to do for retirement? There's no social security they've been accruing because they're not working. Apparently, there's no IRAs, there's no retirement accounts, there's no Roth. You don't even have real medical insurance, like for real.
yeah, that's true.
So
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
are they like? Now that I'm out, I can think about all these things of like, oh my gosh, like none of this makes any sense. And then you're telling everybody else not to go to college. They not going to college maybe in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, like you're still marching down that road of no education. And you want people to go to trade school to be HVAC and secretaries and guest services. Like, no,
Hmm.
that doesn't fly. Like that hasn't, you cannot have a family and actually be able to maintain anything with those type of professions, especially if you're just getting started.
Yep, I know that way too well. I am broke. I
So
could
what
have
did
been
you
something.
like? What did you go to school for? What did you do?
See, I went to college for laser electro optics technology, and I dropped out because mainly because I was getting married at the time, so I needed an income. So I decided to get a full-time job. And the reason why I had to do that because they were pushing me to get married, like pushing and pushing and pushing. And because I was already engaged, and it's like, oh, you don't want to be engaged too long because the devil will come in and destroy your relationship. So you got to get married. And we were young, like I could have been something by now.
Right.
And I got all that pushed to the side, if not thrown altogether, thrown away. So here I am living off check by check and doing YouTube to at least pay for my gas. So there it is.
Yo, it's deep. They don't understand. Like, people have literally taken vows of poverty
Hmm.
without realizing that that's what they have done. And that part I think is messed up. Like, I had so much struggle with going back to college, don't go back to college. Get my degree, don't get my degree. Because you also have that quiet or soft shunning that happens to you when you're still a member. Because if you are doing something that they consider is on the fence, on the fringes, then people are still going to give you that side eye. You're going to not get invitations to certain things. Certain families are not going to include you. And there's that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go through any of that. I'll just rely on Jehovah, and everything will be okay. So MJ, I relate to that because when I was going through that situation, you t- you talking about broke, buddy. Like, I was without a home and like an actual address that was mine 7 times.
Wow. Hmm.
I have 14 addresses in 17 years.
Wow. That's a lot.
So you talking about check to check, hand to mouth, like not cool. And then you add children on top of that. So I had a daughter. Thank heavens for social services such as welfare and WIC and all this other stuff,
Yeah.
because that's how we were able to kind of tread through at some points, like with groceries and stuff like that. But yeah, I shouldn't have had to go to my local government or local agencies for help with my utilities or whatever when I am a member of a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, I couldn't go to them for any grants or any
That's
stipend
true.
or a scholarship or a hardship voucher. Come on now. Like, they're actually a problem to society.
Yeah.
They're actually a menace, if I had to say that, because they're forcing all of their members to then have to either severely compromise and live these simplistic lives, or you have to depend on your local state government and what they can provide you. But meanwhile, you're not supposed to vote.
Right.
So you have no knowledge of what's happening behind the scenes that will either aid you in getting assistance or stop you from getting assistance because you're politically neutral. So that in itself is like a contradiction that I never thought about when I was a member. Like, they should be, like, because I didn't even know what nonprofits were supposed to do. So the fact that they are a multi-billion-dollar company and it's tax-free,
Yeah.
that's a problem. Like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of citizens that are in neighborhoods that are just getting, I don't even want to say the word on here, but y'all already know. Like,
Right.
that is a problem. So, oh my gosh, MJ, you said I don't even know what the first job college option you said was. Like, what actually is that and what would you have been doing?
Well, I ended up working at McDonald's full time after I dropped out of college, which goes to show how sad being a witness really is when you have others telling you what you can and cannot do for work. That was my goal, to find a job as quick as possible. McDonald's was the one that was offering it as quick as possible. And because of that, I had to live in a basement because it still wasn't enough. I got married into a basement. and I lived there for 5, 6 years. I couldn't get out of it. And then we had a child, and it's like every time we were 3 steps ahead, it's like the organization was pushing us 10 steps back. So we were always playing catch up. And it's like you said, right? They don't care about your economic status as long as you're doing work for them, going out on service, commenting at the meetings, being at the meetings. And it's like you
Cleaning the
said,
kingdom halls, landscaping
yep,
kingdom halls, cleaning the
Free
assembly,
labor.
that's
the
what's a
convention halls. They want us there scraping the gum off and cleaning off the carpets.
service.
Yes.
That's the type of service they want. Not service for your family, not service. They may encourage you, you could do this for work, you can save money. We're in living at the end of the times. You shouldn't be buying yourself expensive things. You can save your money. Heck, move out. They even have videos of brothers as examples who have left their homes just to live comfortably, like in a studio or something. Like,
Yeah.
how is that comfortable? And it's all for total dedication to the organization. And they, like you said, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They do this, they do that, they're in investments and whatever, but they don't give back. And that reminds me of the pandemic when they gave back to the brothers for food, and they said that it was all homegrown. I found out that it was Trump who gave these supplies to religious communities, and supposedly he had put a letter in each box stating, this is from me, you're welcome. And then the organization would take these letters out so that they know it wasn't from the government, that it was from them instead. And that goes to show how narcissistic they are as well, and toxic. And even the Super Bowl last year, when there were communities who were helping the homeless and cleaning up tunnels and whatnot, and here the witnesses are like 100 volunteers standing in front of the stadium just soliciting and pushing people to go to the website. It's like that's a little embarrassing. Like I would be embarrassed to be a witness then. Like you have an organization, a community that you could say is either false or part of the world, that they're no good, but they're doing good. And you're not. You're just pushing people to a future hope when the hope that we need is now. It's kooky to me. It's funny. But yeah, it goes to show that they may call themselves Christians, but literally the word Christian means Christ-like, and to be Christ-like is to show love at all times. It's like when you read my speech, everybody went crazy because I said that, Jesus was the one who clothed the poor, fed the hungry, sheltered the homeless. They don't do that.
No.
No,
They
at
don't.
all.
So, Justin, did you go to college?
Yeah, yeah.
What did
My
you
mom
go?
was a certified teacher, so that was actually something that she didn't quite agree with the witnesses on, but she had to go through with it. So I didn't go to like a university, but I went to a community college, went for architectural design. So
Cool. And MJ, would you go back to school? Are you considering it? Maybe.
It hasn't crossed my mind. My wife's been talking about it. She's been wanting to go back. I've been encouraging her to.
Okay.
But I haven't really thought about it. No. I did actually talk about how I wanted to be. Like one of my goals was to be an astronaut back in the day, and I'm like, I know it's gonna be highly probable that that's not gonna happen. And she's like, just go for it. I'm like, I don't think I can go. I mean, I got a family now. I have a YouTube community to talk to. Like, I don't know, but I haven't really
You're
thought
talking
about going
about
back.
going back to school to be an astronaut. We tune in for that. Like, what? You trying to go to the moon? Like, you
I
got
know, right?
us on speed now. Like, what are we doing?
On a more lighter tone, I thought of being a firefighter and a cop. But I remember when I wanted to be a policeman, oh my gosh, they talked down to me. Like they did not want me to be a policeman just because they hold weapons. I was just like, man. And then it's like, then they did have, we had this one, I don't like to say brother, just this person that was a cop. And he would go into the Kingdom Hall dressed up in his uniform, but he didn't have privileges. And that's the problem. Like you're not forced to be a cop. I mean, you're not forced to not be a cop, but you're also not allowed to have privileges because you're a cop, because you're disobeying their policy. And I call them policies now. I don't call them doctrines. I don't call them rules because it's a business, right? So I call it a policy. So no, it hasn't crossed my mind.
Well, you mentioned being a firefighter. I don't know what that process looks like in your state, but I think you should consider it. That's like one of the ways that I know personally I've found like healing or trying to move on is just being like, all right, I'm gonna take chances, I'm gonna take risk on myself, calculated risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I will say not all of them have panned out. Let's just face it, as we're growing and trying to figure out who we are and what makes us happy,
Yeah.
that fear can be paralyzing because we've already dedicated ourselves to something that didn't work out. So to think about going back to school or pursuing your dreams or getting involved in whatever it is that you want to get involved in, it can be scary because you're like, I don't have time
Mm-hmm.
to fail or not achieve something. But what I will say is that it does afford a lot of personal development and growth because through those challenges or through those perceived shortcomings, right, what people will call failures, you get to know more about yourself. You get to learn how to recover faster from situations or disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
You get to actually tweak your own mentality and perspective of how you're going to handle things. And I would just say, man, even if it's like once a evening or whatever it is, everything that you've been through, MJ, I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to agree with your wife that you deserve some time to think about what truly makes MJ happy and how you want to see your purpose fulfilled in this world and also for your children. You know what I mean? So you're in the best position now to actually attain your joy and your happiness, even though I know it doesn't fully seem like that. Because when you live in check to check and things is going wrong and this is over here, over there, oh my goodness, it's
It's
really
stressful.
hard to see out of that. But we're here for you and you know this.
Yeah.
And whatever we can do to help, encourage, inspire you, sometimes people have connections, just like when we were part of the organization, people would constantly put you on to different things. They would give you references and stuff like that. So what I would say to the larger community, if anybody's out there watching or knowing, hey, if you have connections, if you have resources, if you know someone that's hiring, like tell us, share it all with us because the majority of us are coming from a financial disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it will be
That's
really
true.
cool. Like I can see you doing all of those things. You're right. The astronaut part, you're like, okay. But I'm sure there are support people that assist or help with that, the dream of being an astronaut come true. So maybe you're not the one going into space, but maybe you're the person doing something with the electrical or the engineering or whatever the case may be,
Working with
right? One of
communications or
those,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, supporting roles. And look into that. That might be cool for you to still be close to something that you wanted to achieve. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to go to the Olympics to be a track star. I already know that. That has come and gone. But you know what I can do? I can start pushing myself to be able to run for 10 minutes straight. Then from there, I can say, okay, I want to strive for 20 minutes. Then from 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes, oh, maybe I want to strive to a half an hour. Okay, from there, maybe I want to do like a 5K. It steps to it. So in my mind, I can't be like, oh, I didn't get to go to the Olympics. What can I do now with the skills, with the
Yeah.
passion, with the things that my body will actually allow me to do? And that's what Liberated Consciousness is about, right? And we were glad to be a part of the movement. Actually, you guys know Mike.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't be involved in the Be Free movement. He's always throwing me out there.
Yeah.
But that's because you need somebody to help push you when you've come out of that space because you're filled with so much doubt. You're filled with so much just like failure and like you don't amount to anything and you don't mean anything. So
Right.
I'm very fortunate to have a supportive partner and someone who's creative and someone who is ambitious. And that's not to say that neither one of us have our dark times. What I'm saying is I'm grateful that both of us don't be spiraling out of control at the same time.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I'll be like, it's your turn. Tag me out, tag me in. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's super helpful. And it was his
That's awesome.
idea to do the nonprofit. And it was basically because we feel nonprofits should actually give back and actually serve the people that they're trying to help. So we would love to be able to, allow individuals like you to apply or to qualify for going to be a firefighter, to be able to have grants to cover your living, expenses while you try to go back to school or whatever. Like, we know people need practical help. Maybe somebody needs their daycare costs covered so they actually can get that job that's going to help them go here. Or maybe someone actually needs a personal trainer because they have internalized that pain so much that physically they have allowed themselves to be depressed, but they want to come out of it. Other people is therapy. We would love to be able to cover people's co-pays or give them opportunities to go to therapy because it can be expensive, especially if you're coming from a situation where you're financially disadvantaged. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to be able to do that, including creating and keeping together this community of people. Real people who want to really grow, really move on, push for legislative change. And that brings me to this space of, okay, Justin, you out there in Washington State, we met other people out there. We want people, and we're encouraging people, let's get together and do pop-ups. Wherever you are, you can be an ambassador for the movement. You guys are here. You're part of Liberated Consciousness. You can take those things, find other witnesses, ex-witnesses, ex-Mormons, whatever, allies of freedom, people who are human rights mindset activists, and do a pop-up where you're at. That could be really good because some people can't travel across the states to be there for that one moment. But if you can corral some people in your area, that's what you can do. That's how you can continue to the movement of being free. Um, and I think that's a great idea. Like, over the weekend, people thought about that. Like, oh, we should do this, or oh, we should do that. So you have people
Mm-hmm.
already thinking about things like, oh, we should do a TikTok campaign, or oh, I want to do this in my state. And so if anybody's watching, if you're a part of Liberated Consciousness, put what state are you in? So then we can know and other people can know, like, oh, you're here, you're in Colorado too, or hey, I'm an hour away from you. Let's get together, because we need the constant support. We used to go to the hall 3, 4, 5 times a week for some of us, and just that constant, association. Well, the same thing can happen for us on this side. Like, all of those skills and things we learned actually are good, and we can own them now, and we
Mm-hmm.
can use them to our advantage. We can use them to build us up. So I know, like, when I was reading your story, MJ, at first I was just like, he wants me to read this. Okay. Because you actually changed, Justin, he changed his speech from when he was going to be there talking in person. And then he was like, no, I can't make it. And he was like, I rewrote it. He was like, I want to go a little bit less of the shunning to more of the CSA, which we can talk about another time. But I was just like, yo, MJ, like, you should give yourself so much props for just being here and having been there yesterday and for showing up every single day. Like, for you to be a man, especially a man of color, and then to come out and say, hey, when I was a part of this group, I was sexually assaulted for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's courage, and I know that is going to mean something to other people who are coming to your page, who came to the protest, who are watching here, who will watch this after the fact. Like, so many people have been affected in ways that are truly deep, in ways that will never, those things will never go anywhere.
Yeah.
But you're learning how to cope, you're learning how to deal.
Definitely,
and
yeah.
You're setting up, you guys both, like, the fact that you get to raise your children in such an open and liberal and conscientious environment where you'll nurture all of their quirks and all of their, major accomplishments. That is so awesome, you guys. I don't know, if you guys give yourself flowers often enough to let you know how great, like, you guys are awesome dads. Me and Mike was talking about that when y'all sent them little cute pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, them cheeks. Oh my.
Yeah.
I don't know how y'all do it. Like, I love me some, like, I would have my kid right here, right now. Like, but
That's the best part of the day, seeing them.
yeah, it gives you motivation. I know that probably keeps you guys moving forward too, because
yeah, because for me at least, keeping them away, all my children, my 3 children, keeping them away from the Kingdom Hall gives me a sense of control over them because, and it's for a good reason, because in the organization, you're being controlled, and I don't want them to be controlled the wrong way. And therefore, not only am I a father, a dad or father, I'm like, I feel like I'm a guardian to my children
Hmm.
too, in a sense where I now get to say, okay, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't do that, but for good reasons, not because I'm trying to push a narrative.
Yeah.
And they get to grow up and do things that I couldn't do. That's my passion right now. For them, like my son, like I want him to do soccer. He loves soccer. My stepson, I want to push him going to school for soccer. You know, things that I couldn't do because it was too competitive. And you know, and that's what makes me feel more of a dad. Because if I swear, if I was a witness, I don't think anyone can really be called a dad, because you're not doing anything for your children. You think you're doing right by your children, but you're not. You're just doing what they want you to do, and then you get privileges like giving, you know, passing mics in the hall or giving speeches. And then you feel good about yourself, and you're like, yes, I'm the best father, I'm the best man in the world. But no, that's not for status. That's just for recognition. That's not, your kids are gonna look up at you and be like, oh wow, my dad is a great person. But then that's it. There's no more to that. There's nothing extra. And then they're stuck with doing the same thing. And then I used to say to myself, you know, what if my children end up having children? And then and that's the reason why I spoke out on YouTube, because I know they're gonna grow up and see my YouTube channel. Like, what if I had never did a YouTube channel? What if I never spoke out? What if I never left the organization, knowing what I know? And then like they grow up, then they have children, and then let's say I do decide to leave like years later, and now my children are like, but dad, you could have like prevented all this. See, now I can't leave. I have a wife. I have children that are also in this. Like, you could have left a long time ago and then prevent all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that I made the steps to leave now for my children. That's how I see it. It's not only to protect their future, but also to protect my right as a father,
Hmm.
to do what I have to do as a dad, to give them what they need, what they deserve. They need to grow. They can't You can't tell a kid that a stove is hot if they don't know it hurts to touch it.
Or what
You,
he is in the first place.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
What's his position in life?
Yeah.
So
So do you
Not to
guys
mention
go ahead?
you can put priority on being a father. I mean,
mhm.
that's a big reason why I wasn't at the protest this year. I wanted to be there,
Yeah.
but I had to, at the time she was 6 months, so I wasn't gonna I couldn't leave my lady with a crying crying screaming 6 month year
Right.
old.
Yeah,
Um, but
that's
yeah,
awesome.
as a witness, you couldn't do that. You know, if you are a man in a certain position, you know, you put it on your wife. You have to put priority on doing what the organization needs you to do as a man.
Hmm.
Especially if there's a shortage, you know, if there's a shortage of men, then even more pressure put on you. You have to be there.
Yeah.
You got to put in that extra work. Sometimes it felt like a second, like a part-time job I was doing, being a witness.
Oh, and the
You know.
secrets. I know
Oh
as a
yeah. Oh
ministerial
my
servant, I
god.
had to keep secrets. That was another
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it's like it was
Mm-hmm.
so overwhelming. And especially if you're
Yes.
an elder, even worse.
Yeah, because you can't even come home and talk to your wife, to your person,
Mm-hmm.
when you're
Mm-hmm.
It's
depressed.
just
Also,
ridiculous to me.
yeah, I heard that can be intense. Well, are you guys? Did you guys do therapy? Are you in therapy now, or like what is your healing journey consist of? Like, how do you either one keep yourselves from sliding into a dark, deep depression? And what I mean by that is, I know we have depressed moments. I know personally there was a depressed period of time, right? And so
Hmm.
my goal has been, how do I reduce the length of time that I'm feeling depressed? How do I quickly snap out of that? I don't want to live anymore, or what's my purpose, or this is never going to get any better for me. So, how have you guys coped with those moments, and what all did you do, or do you do now? Because I'm sure you guys still kind of go through that. How do you do that? What do other people need to know that that looks like?
You want to go
Well,
first?
yeah, sure. I would like to say that, or push the idea that therapy is actually a good thing. The same thing that I was saying about my wife being afraid of the protest, that's just something that they condition into you. Same with therapy. They'll tell you why you need a man to tell you how to feel when you have God. That's totally wrong. Therapy is actually a great thing because, okay, you talk to God about your personal feelings, about your issues, right? you won't get an immediate response. Some of us as humans need a response right away. We need to feel. We need for someone to feel us. We need that personal touch. So, be having a therapist gives me all of that, and I did do therapy for a while, and that was to overcome my depression, but also to overcome suicidal thoughts, which I ended up actually because I attempted suicide and hurt myself, I ended up seeking therapy. And I was in therapy for that. And then it transitioned to more of a family therapy where I needed to think about my children and how my thoughts or my emotions are affecting them. So I had to learn how to control that. And it was all beneficial because now, once I ended that, I was able to, I felt free. Like I felt like I'm not the only one that's going through this. And being in that therapy session, I got to learn that other people go through it, and I'm not just the only one. And it's sad to think that an organization that kept you from that, it's also kept you from feeling like you deserve to have that type of uh, self-diagnosis, because you could you can have diagnosis by what the elders tell you what you need, but then again, they're not there for you. That was another thing that I had a problem with, where you asked for that shepherding call, but you never got it when you needed it. And having that personal therapist where you can text all the time and call all the time whenever you're feeling a certain way was very beneficial. You can't do that with elders because they're always busy. They're always doing something. As a matter of fact, that is what led me to suicide. Was I had two elders and I had to constantly communicate with them to meet me, and they rejected me. Like, they never showed up. I would be left stranded at Dunkin' Donuts waiting for them, and I had no assurance or protection in that sense where I can count on them to help me spiritually and emotionally. A therapist can do all of that. And yes, I did do it. Did it for, I'd say, a year and some change, and I'm good now. I mean, yes, I do struggle from time to time, um, where I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I look at my scars and I'm just like, wow. But I tend to focus on my children and my family, to know that they're there because of me. They're alive because of me. Like, my son is born because of me. Had I killed myself, my son wouldn't be born. Like, I think about those things. And I may fall into depression once in a while, but that's normal. We're human. Like, we're imperfect. We have issues. We go through issues all. I work with witnesses like Justin. I work with at least 30, 40 witnesses every single day. And
Wow.
because I'm a school bus driver, and as a school bus driver, that's like the number one job for a witness, because they have those breaks in between to go preaching. So I have to go through that every day. I got to face them every day. They look at me and they look down. They don't say hi to me. I just have to continue pushing forward. Sometimes that does get to me, and I come home all stressed and bummed out, because these are people that I shared everything with, that I used to enjoy my weekends with, and they just reject me and ignore me. Sometimes I go in late to work to punch in just so I don't have to see them. So it is a struggle. It'll always be a struggle. The key here is to never forget that you have a voice, and you should be willing to let it out, and don't keep it all inside. Don't bottle it in. Therapy is one way to go about it. This XJW community is a way to go about it. Those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions and what I've been through and currently going through. I'm okay now. I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing funny videos. That goes to show that I'm good. So don't worry so much about me if you guys are worrying about me. But I'm glad I was able to give that, or have you read that speech for me, Ivy, because I want people to know that they're not the only ones that go through stuff. Just because you see me up there, see me on YouTube, you see me laughing and smiling, it doesn't mean that I didn't go through anything negative. We all go through something, so they shouldn't feel alone. We shouldn't feel alone. So I'll leave the rest to Justin.
Yeah, you covered the therapy part very, very well, and I did
Yeah.
the same thing. And it is very, very helpful to talk to a licensed therapist and get a
Mm-hmm.
professional opinion on what's going on. In addition to that, I dove really just. I mean, if you've seen my videos, you already know I've done just headfirst into learning about psychology and just how the brain works. That has been a huge, huge help. Sometimes when you know what was done to you, and you understand it, then you know how to overcome it.
Right.
And when you know how the brain works, and you know how, the
Mm-hmm.
Watchtower has used, like you were talking about before in that speech, how he used the word the truth over and over.
Yeah.
Those type of things. What they're doing is they're reaching deep into your subconscious mind. That's the part of your brain that is normally hard to access. But with that type of repetition and with certain things like that, for
Mm-hmm.
example, their music, it opens a doorway. And when things get that deep into your head, it can affect just your normal everyday life, how you view yourself, how you view the world around you. Your automatic actions are all influenced by the Watchtower. You become a Watchtower bot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just learning about that was a huge, huge help. When I left, I was 20. When I got fully out, I was 27, and at that time, just being a few years away from 30, I was terrified. I did not want to walk around being a broken man, and that's what I was after leaving the witnesses. I was broken, and so I seeked ways to fix myself as fast as possible. I read a bunch of books. The thing that was most effective, I won't talk about on here, but I just posted a video on my channel with an interview with Dina talking about that. That did the trick for me. So there's certain plants that you can take if you know what I'm talking about, and it'll get you there. So there was that, and then and also just another thing, like therapy was demonized in the witnesses. Another thing that was also demonized is like meditation, mindfulness, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do. You're not going to get possessed. It has nothing to do with spiritism. It's just sitting with yourself for a second and observing your thoughts. And when you do that practice of observing your thoughts, you see where you really are. And you'll see that a lot of those thoughts are not yours. They were given to you.
Mm-hmm.
And not so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And not only were they given to you, they're not in your best interest. So that's when you do those mindfulness exercises. That's when you can finally see the programming that's running in the back of your mind that you're not normally privy to. So that was another big thing. So big, in fact, that I actually started my own mindfulness wellness business. And then another thing is just introspective journaling. I late last year I released the ExJw Recovery book. It's out there for free. Anybody can get it. And that book is all about introspective journaling. This practice of reading a question and then having to go through this process of almost stepping outside of yourself, viewing yourself from a perspective that you don't normally view yourself from, and then you're able to to reach feelings and process feelings that you may not have realized were there. And when you do that, you don't normally think about yourself in that deep of a way or from those perspectives. But when you do that, now you're able to see places in your brain that are still impacted by the witnesses. Because you could have been gone for 10, 20 years, and there's still programming in there. There's still things that you think are not okay, because they told you that a while ago. So between all of those things, yeah, that's what's definitely helped me to recover, and long after being out, it's helped me to make sure that all that programming, as much as possible, is out of my system. And what is left, I at the very least, I'm aware of it. It's not something that's going on that you're just unaware of. You don't realize that you're doing it. If I fall back into something, I can say, "Oh, Justin, you're doing that because this thing in the witnesses. You don't have to do that anymore." Or in some cases, it's things that I do want to do, and and it's like, okay, well, you're doing that because of that, but you can at least reframe it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It's good.
I'm so glad you guys went to therapy. I actually am in therapy. So it started off very frequent, like every other week, where I was going in. And sometimes I was like, nope, I'm going to need an extra. I need every week this month, And I know too, like the mindfulness, Justin, has been really helpful. The journaling has been really helpful.
Mm.
Sitting with one's thoughts has been really helpful. At first, I couldn't really sit with myself. Like my mind was just so all the time that I've learned how to slow my thoughts down a little bit. Or like you said, snap yourself out of some things when you realize that they're creeping back up. That has been really helpful. People say I did like a swan dive where it was just like I'm not in an organization anymore and I went full steam ahead with like everything else. But that was just my way of coping and my way of trying to figure out who I am and to quickly figure out, okay, how much of my time that I lost do I want to recover or recuperate? And where do I want to go now going forward? Like, I'm not a bad person. You know, I do have ethics and morals. Like, there's certain things that have always just been me. So the therapy has been great for that. There's been some times where I'm like, okay, my psychologist, you're great, but I need to see a psychiatrist, right? Because there's moments where I need anxiety medications or where I need medications to keep me from, going into that 3-month cycle of depression, because life has to keep moving and you have to work and you have to take care of yourself. And there's just all these things. So I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of reading too. Like, me and my partner, Mike, we started off reading books to each other, so I have a few books that I highly recommend for people to read if they're just looking to start having a different perspective on spirituality, right? So like the 7 Spiritual Laws to Success, very small, very short book, does it got my mind thinking so differently so fast. The 4 Agreements, another small quick book, but it helps you understand programming, intent, the use of words, and how you have control over yourself. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. Be intentional with your words. Don't make assumptions. Do your best. And there's one more.
Oh, you mean?
I'm like, there's one more, but the ones that hit me hard are the ones that hit me hard.
Don't take everything personally.
Don't take
Yeah.
anything personally. Yes. And
Yep.
it sounds so simple, but I find myself throughout my day or throughout the week where I'm like, oh my gosh, I took that totally personal and I need to not, because now I'm all in my feelings or my anxiety. I feel it bubbling up. But for what? Do I really want to give outside people and influences that much control over me? It's like I'm trying to break the mental chains. So that's great. Did you guys do anything physically? Did you start walking? Did you start running? Are you like working out? Like, how do you get, because there's some anger there, right? So
Yeah.
have you guys found a way to like release the anger and not let it shut you down?
Oh, I definitely got buff since leaving the witness. I had a lot of lifting to do.
There you go.
What about you, MJ? Like,
I took a different route. I used that anger or that teaching that the world sucks, right? That the world is
yeah,
evil. Everybody is in there is evil. I did the complete opposite. I decided to go and seek and prove myself that people aren't bad, that the world isn't evil. So I took upon a hobby, and which was photography. And I started doing weddings. I started doing portraits, school portraits, and that. And I got to learn from different people. I got to learn different religious backgrounds. I got to learn how people deal with life in general, and that I never knew about. So that helped me control my anger, because I was so angry that I was part of a community that I loved. And now that I'm away from it, what the hell am I gonna do with my life? Like, I'm so angry that these guys had so much. The religion has so much potential, but there's so much evil hidden within it. And what am I gonna do now, right? So I was so angry, and I decided to just release that anger by exploring and figuring out that I shouldn't be angry anymore. There's more to life than being a Jehovah's Witness. So I did that. I did photography, and that helped me out a lot.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so tell us more, because like I like photography too,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not good at it. That wasn't my hobby. Okay. I'm the type of person who wants to do everything. Okay, guys, like I do it all. And that's just because I was always that curious kid. I was the kid that would be like, what if? But what if?
Mm.
To my mom all the time. Okay, mom, but what if this? Or what if? And she would be like, okay, like enough of this, kid. But I always was looking for, I've always been like this person who loves exploration. I love adventure. I love
Mm-hmm.
alternate ways of thinking, doing things, seeing life certain ways. And that's probably like one of the reasons why I love travel. I only have 2 stamps on my passport, guys, Jamaica and Mexico. And I'm trying to get at least 5 more stamps in the next 2 to 3 years max. Okay, because I want to travel to 100 countries, right? So it's
Nice.
like I need to set my mind. That's one of the things I research as a hobby is like travel hacks. Like, how can I go to this place as cheap as possible? Like, you guys, when we bought the tickets to come up to DC, we flew into BWI, Baltimore, round trip tickets. We got 2 round trip tickets for $90.
Wow.
What?
I'm
Wow.
always looking for hacks. Like, okay, I of course I love to fly Delta. I love to fly Southwest. Those are my 2 airlines. But listen, I haven't gotten that bougie just yet. So I'm like, it's not, beneath me to do what I need to do when I need to do it. Like, I've always been that person. That's how I was raised too. You just find a way and you just keep pushing through it. You just have to. I mean, there's only that other option for me, which is to seek the silence and solace of death. And I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Like, I have you guys, I have Mike, I have my daughter still. Like, I have sunshine that I love, the beach. I see dolphins. Like, I see life and creation and possibilities all around me. I love to people watch. And it just feels good to, I know for me to not judge people when I see them or when I meet them, that I'm not assessing them based off of what they look like. Or I'm like, oh, he's not a brother, he has a beard. Oh, she's not a sister, her shirt is too low cut. It's just like crazy, and just like you, Justin, I went and got a nose piercing. I went and got my first tattoo, second tattoo, wait, can you see it? I put it on here in a way that it only reflects me. It's so funny. You see that? I'm only the one that can see it.
Yeah, that's I see
But
that.
yeah, and it's a symbol that reminds me to breathe,
Mm.
because a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the times I would realize that I've been holding my breath, like literally holding my breath. And I have to remember to fill my lungs with air. And so there's just so many cool, like, those were hacks for me. Some people might say, oh, no tattoos, but guess what? That was a hack for me. That was my personal choice. I enjoyed it. And if I choose to get some more, I will, because this is my life and I have to seek and pursue peace now and my happiness now, because to be honest, no one knows what the afterlife is going to look like, or if there even is a such thing as an afterlife. We have stories of what happened before, but that's what they are. They're stories. We call them stories now, but in other cultures they call them myths, because they're so long ago. So
Hmm.
who knows if 100, 200 years from now, all these things that we learned will become myths to that current society at that time. So I just think that going forward, whatever you believe, whatever you want to do, whatever your eventuality is, that is great for you. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to come true for you because you believe that. It's not
Hmm.
my place to be like, but let me tell you, or, have you considered? It's just like, wow, this seems like that makes you happy. I'm happy for you. If you don't ask my input or my advice, unsolicited advice is the last thing I want. So I try not to give it to other people. But,
That's good.
MJ did photography. Justin,
Yep.
you did working out. I do working out too. I do the journaling. But I do have some other hobbies I wanted to get into, right? And I want us to bounce hobbies around really quick. So I loved roller skating.
Ooh, okay.
Growing up, I was always one of those kids that thought it was so cool to go to Cali, wear the little tall like socks, and be on the beach, just kind of like rolling, doing the little quick dances and stuff. So I used to always go to the rink all the time as a late teen, early 20s. So I'm getting ready to invest in a new pair of skates, y'all, so
Oh,
I
okay.
can go ahead and try to get back into roller skating. I used to play the trumpet when I was in
Mm.
middle school. I actually wanted to be in the marching band in high school, but you already know that was frowned upon. And so I really enjoyed, though, playing the trumpet. I actually got really good. I could read sheet music. As a matter of fact, I would practice out of the gold songbook because I could
Mhm.
actually read the notes. So I would actually play the kingdom melodies around the house for practice. So I loved it. And I'm like, I don't have to associate that dream as something lost. I
Mhm.
may not be in an orchestra, which is fine. I may not go to Juilliard for, the arts, but I can still find happiness and joy in playing the trumpet and know that I can continue something. I can finish something that I previously started. So those are like my two big things next that I want to do because I just find them fun. There's like roller skating is like bike riding. Like, do you guys have bikes?
Not anymore.
I know. I
Oh,
need to get a bike too. Justin, you got a bike?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I
I
used to
got to
love
ride it more though.
riding bikes, man. Like, yo, that would be super cool if we all like at some point did a meetup and we all rode out on our bikes and bicycles. Oh my
The
god.
bike gang.
That is like in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, like if you had a bike, that was like having a car. You felt so grown and life was different then. So we would ride our bikes clear across town, you know,
Hmm.
and it would be by the time you keep riding, you just keep collecting all these kids on their bike, you know. So then it's like the whole little mob of kids, you know. We were doing that in first grade. Can you believe that?
Whoa,
6,
way
7 year
different
olds
world.
just out there,
Wow.
Yeah.
just complete different world, you know. So but yeah, I would
Nah.
love to do that. I'm a big kid at heart, like really. So I love doing all the fun stuff, like
Hmm.
hanging out, you know, like that's all just fun. And I like that we can do that now. We can define what fun and happiness and freedom and curiosity, like what that looks
Yeah.
like for us. So yeah.
Yeah. I miss
Any,
those days too.
yeah, you know, right? Well, listen, you got kids now, so I might have to just get you a bike from Walmart. I'm sorry. I'm like, you deserve to ride bikes with your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's all actually on my to-do list pretty soon actually. I I can't say more than that cuz it's a surprise, but yeah,
I,
I'm working on something.
I love it.
But yeah.
Are you guys celebrating your birthdays yet?
Yes, we are. Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
y'all gonna have to.
I treat mine like it's a national holiday. I don't go to work or nothing.
You
Are
hear
you
me?
kidding me?
Really?
No.
It's a whole month celebration. It's
Like
a
this is
whole month. I got years and years of birthdays to catch up on. No,
yeah,
it's so cool though. My first birthday party, Mike planned it for me. He went way over the top. Okay. He had someone do a painting of me, of like one of his favorite pictures on his phone, full on painting, like canvas.
Wow.
Then he had a birthday cake, but it had my face on the cake.
okay.
People were there. There was this photo selfie thing. He had me get really dressed up. He blindfolded me, like to take me to the place. He had
Wow.
a DJ there. He had someone sing. Then he had like the people that was around us at the time come up and do testimonials. It was just like this huge fun. And then like for anyone who wanted to go out, we went out to like this really like cool nightclub here. We had VIP, you know what I'm saying? Had the little
Wow.
sparkler bottle service, you know? And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Like it was already fun. And then it just took it to a whole nother level. And I'm like, Dad, we haven't been able to do this never ever, you know,
Mhm.
to have people around you that says, hey, you're important, you're special. We're glad that you're here in our lives. We're
Mhm.
glad that
Yeah.
you arrived to this world. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I love celebrating birthdays, y'all. So y'all gonna have to text me the dates. In fact, y'all can put them in here so people can celebrate your birthdays too, because I'm happy that you guys are alive and that you are making it through this situation, because I think both of y'all are so dope. And for me to be able to have this opportunity to meet y'all,
Hmm.
I'm so grateful for that. Like y'all are like celebrities to me, like real talk. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, not only are they speaking out, but they're going like online with this stuff. Like, oh, you know, so I'll be watching y'all in the background, like, you know, low key stalking. I'm like, I'm a fangirl.
Yeah.
So when I got to meet you, Justin, last year, and then MJ meeting you, I mean, it's just been like magic ever since, you know. And
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
thankful. Thank you
Same
guys
here.
for still breathing the same air as me. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you too. I mean, the things that you said last year at the protest was like, I feel like you were the star of the show because you said so many true things, and I felt like you were speaking for a lot of people, and I felt genuinely like I could relate, and I'm sure a lot of people could too. And about the whole celebrity thing, I get that. Like when I saw, you know, it's funny. I told Justin this that day. I was like, you know, my very first XJW video I've ever seen was Justin XJW Diaries, and I saw 5 seconds of it and I turned it off because I'm like, I can't be doing this. Like I'm a full blown witness at the time. I can't do this. I was like, and I literally said, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and I shut off the video. I'm like, I'm not listening to this guy anymore. So then I tuned into Berean Pickets, and I was this was like months after, like maybe a year after. I turned into Berean Pickets, and then I was like, okay, this is starting to make sense. He basically woke me up, and then I started watching. what's his face, Wally at JW Thoughts, and Justin. So those two, and then All Worldly came in, and then Panda Tower. But yeah, Justin was the very first guy that I rejected.
Oh my
But
God.
fell in love with. I mean, and then when I saw Justin over there at the protest, I was like, oh snap, this is so cool. Like,
Yep, this is him.
yeah, yeah. Like, and then I approached you, Justin, at the protest, but I didn't want to be like those annoying fans that just hover over all the time or ask so many questions or whatever. One, I didn't know Justin that well, first of all, and then two, I didn't want to come across as that little girl who's just annoying. So I kept my like
What you
composure. I
saying?
was
Man?
chill.
What you saying?
Yeah, yeah. And then it's funny because I'm over here thinking, I'm a nobody here, and these guys are something. And then Wally was there. Wally came after. I was like, oh man, this is real now. And then, but then as I'm saying this, like I'm a nobody, I get people coming up to me like, hey, you're MJ. Oh my gosh, like, and I was like, yeah, that's me. And I'm sorry I'm not as tall as Wally, but yes, that's and. I had people come and like hug down on me. But it still felt like cool, like surreal, like it was just awesome. And I got to really feel like I was part of a community. Like I don't have that love anymore, but to have it with you guys is something. It's amazing.
We still
Yeah.
have our international brotherhood, you know. I
Yeah.
read some statistics that said about 70,000
Hmm.
Jehovah's Witnesses leave
Oh, I
an-
didn't hear that. No.
annually. I have to
Oh
go
wow.
back and fact check it, but it was a really high number. And I was like, wow, that means there's a lot of us out there who are not seen, we're not heard. And that's why, Mike was like, we got to do something. He was like,
Hmm.
he wants to change. And the thing of it is we all have these trust um booby traps. I call them mental booby traps. And Justin, you mentioned this before about how you don't really realize what's actually there playing in the back of your mind. And trust actually factors into that greatly. It's
Hmm.
extremely hard to trust people, to trust corporations, to trust anybody really, So, Mike was like, listen, we have to win people's trust back. We have to be able to show them that we're actually there for them in ways that matter to them. And that's what he said, the nonprofit is going to be about, because some of those first steps for us was accepting that we have been duped, accepting that the fact that there is some good in that, that we were well intentioned and that we our intentions was pure, right?
Hmm.
Also accepting the other side for what it is, right? They know what they're doing, they know what this is causing. Okay, now I acknowledge that. But then the guilt, right? That the shame that comes with that is where we get into the forgiveness segment of our journey, where it's forgiving the other people, forgiving, so to speak, the organization in the sense that we don't allow them to have that mental control over us anymore. Actually, learning how to forgive, it is a freeing or liberating experience because
Hmm.
you're deciding to say, okay, that's cool. I accept it. It is what it is. And guess what? No hard feelings. You do you. I'ma do me. And then
Yeah.
once we got to that place, then we started the healing journey, which I feel the journey is going to be ongoing. The healing part I feel like is always going, but it's also a liberating experience to heal because we're not just healing our minds, we're healing our emotions, our souls, our physical,
Hmm.
we're healing our subconscious. Like there's so much healing that has to happen, because all the trauma is on different levels. Some people go, I've had Reiki done before, so I'm like a really exploratory, healing, spiritual type of person, which I always have been. And I know, Justin, we talked about it a little bit on your channel, so we'll have to double back on that, those experiences. But yeah, Reiki, it blew my mind. I don't know this person doesn't know me, and they did the whole Reiki thing, and they were telling me stuff that I'm like, there's no way you should have been able to know that if you didn't have a gift,
Hmm.
right? If you didn't have this skill or this awareness of something more or something higher. I've had a reading done where, with the tarot cards and everything, and this person don't know me. It didn't feel taboo. It didn't feel like demonism. It didn't feel like nothing. It felt like just having a conversation with someone who actually took the time to
Hmm.
know me, even though they didn't know me yet. and that's based off of the stars and the alignment, which we know the moon controls the tides. So there's some magnetism there that I believe scientifically actually applies in these other forms of spiritual healing or practices. And I firmly believe in science too. I don't think any belief system is isolated. I think there's a lot of overlapping. And for me, I accept all forms of spirituality where I see the overlapping points, where I can see the togetherness. So that's been a part of the healing too, to say, I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care about any of those things. Let's talk about what we have in common. The differences are going there, right? But let's talk about what we have in common, because everybody wants humanity. Everybody wants peace. Everybody wants us to be coming together. Well, if we're only focused on what divides us, we're never going to come together.
That's what Paul
If we're
said.
always got to be right, if my way is right, then we're never going to come together, because that means everybody else is wrong if you're always right. So liberated consciousness is about that, because there's so many levels that you can liberate your conscience to be free, to have that free mindset, which is why the Be Free movement is so important. It's so important because it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses that want to be free. You have people in other groups, other isolated areas, whether it's religious or not. You have people who were not religiously inclined at all, but they've gone through so much trauma. They've gone through sexual assault. They've gone through domestic violence. They've gone through the social isolation. They've gone through all these things. So they feel like they're in a prison without walls because of their mind, so their minds need freedom. They need to be liberated too. And when it comes to human rights, we definitely deserve a seat at that table. And if they're not going to give us one, then we're going to create a table. That's what we're going to do. We're not, for the voiceless, we are speaking up for them. We want everybody. Y'all come out of the shadows, because the more of y'all we have, the more numbers, the more statistics, the more data we have, and that will help us from a legal perspective, from a research perspective, to actually start letting people know the depth of what is happening, And I just love that. I love that we can finally be a part of something that actually is positive and that actually has, like you said, MJ, that can change people's lives now, right? Because think about it. You mentioned the suicide. Do you actually think I have time to wait until I'm 70 for a new world to arrive that may not arrive? And I've been contending with suicidal thoughts and ideations. Can you contend with that for 40 years straight?
Heck no.
Exactly. So people need solutions now. And I get emotional a little bit thinking about it because of my own situation and what it has cost me. And I'm just like, wow, if I would have had someone who could have enlightened me, progressively enlightened me. Because you guys know, when you, like you said, you was like, oh, I can't be watching this.
Yeah.
I have had that same reaction to people, not even just viewing. Online was not a thing. I would not do that. But with people, like, that was automatic no. I wasn't looking for anything online. But people that I would counter in my life or in my circles, I had friends, associates that would talk the way we're talking now, with the transparency of what, is going on. But as soon as you hear that, like you said, we're already conditioned and programmed to say that's apostate. They're speaking against Jehovah. They're talking against the Holy Spirit. They're committing blasphemy. That's an unforgivable sin. No one wants to be in that category of not being able to be redeemed or to be forgiven. So you do push it aside very hard, very strong. And to now have that ability to say, I'm in control of my mind. I'm in control of myself. I know what I want to believe. I know what I want to bat away. Like, oh, that's nonsense. Because I feel like it's very insulting to tell people that they can't regulate what they believe and how they believe it simply because they're talking to someone who has a different perspective. So that's been cool too, to be able to come to that realization and say, no, I'm fully competent and capable of having a conversation with somebody that doesn't think the same way I think. And then saying, you know what, that was very good endpoint as a different perspective I hadn't considered before. Can't say that I agree with you totally, but you definitely give me some things to think about. Like, I don't see how that's so difficult, but that just goes to show the innate, the programming, like you said, what you say, Justin, a watchtower bot.
Yeah.
where you're just kind of like all the canned responses, all those things. And,
Yeah.
I look forward to stuff. So if y'all want to travel, hit us up. We're talking about planning a cruise. For everybody who want to go on the cruise, like I have like really cool vouchers already. Like,
You gotta
people
do
call you
that, man.
and they're like, yo, if you get these packages, they want to get you to go. And Mike is real good. So we done haggled some prices down to where we got like 5 vacation packages for like $300. You hear me?
Wow.
So with that package, you can invite other people to come along and they get the discount as well. Long story short. So Liberated Consciousness is thinking about, liberated cruises, liberated meetups, like things that we can do to keep encouraging each other to move forward, to heal, to try new things. You want to go skydiving? Let's go. You want to do paintball? Let's go. If you want to go to a gun range, let's go. Like if you want to be armed to carry, let's go. Like whatever your freedom is, whatever's going to make you feel safe and you're not endangering yourself or endangering your fellow human, let's go. Let's have a good time,
Yeah.
So I'll let y'all know when we planning some of these things to hang out
Heck
and
yeah.
go travel and just eat good foods and make memories. I love making memories and I can't wait to continue to make more memories with you guys. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm the designated auntie for the babies. Okay. I'm that auntie that comes around and then your kids act like y'all don't exist. Okay. And I love that. So just know, I'm just preparing you now for how awesome I am with kids. Mike calls me the baby whisperer.
Okay.
Okay. So I would come into town and I'll be like, now go on a date with your wife. Y'all go and have some adult time, reconnect, talk, look each other in the eyes, not have to worry about kids. Put that down. Oh, you gotta eat. Don't drink that juice. You wait till your food come. All that kind of stuff, right? I'm like, no, y'all go. We got this. Yep. I understand what it's like.
I'm definitely down for that. Like, especially the cruise. Yeah, I feel like because I've been to a couple meetups this last year and this year, and it was very.
Was it fun?
It was fun. Yeah, like, and not only can we share stories and resonate with each other, but like the vibe, everything, the things we couldn't do, we're doing it. Like it's just so fun, and we need that. I think a cruise would be amazing. I heard that there was this convention being planned too for next year. Not sure if that's even legit or not, but
Rick
even
Faber is planning it or trying
right,
to
yeah.
yeah.
I think that would be good too. Like, I mean, it's just a lot of people don't or they feel that they because they left that there's no sense of community anymore, and that I mean I know I was talking to my wife like yesterday. I was like, I miss that feeling of going to the hall and then seeing people that I could talk to and ask how they're doing, and then they ask how I'm doing, and we all talk about stuff. And like we don't have that, but to have meetups more frequently would help with that feeling. And I think a cruise would be wonderful. We can even drink till we drop. Like
we can cheers, we can toast.
Yes,
that's some of the favorite stuff I love doing from the gate. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a cheers. Like I've learned a lot about intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you have good intentions when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, then it's going to put that good energy, that good spirit, whatever you want to call it, into what you're doing. Because now, like me and Mike, if we're around somebody, whether it's ex-witness or not, or just people where we can tell when the vibe is off. Like when we went to the airport last night to buy tickets, and this girl was in there, she was having a really difficult time. Whatever was happening was her business, but her energy was off. It was not good. I could tell it was making the ticketing agents like nervous and frustrated, and it was just not good. And as soon as she left, joking, we was talking. The one agent had been to like every country in Europe, Australia, almost every state in the United States. I'm like, oh my gosh, when did you have time to do all this traveling? It's from Russia, like really good, enlightening conversation, and it was clear that, he was going through the transition of becoming a she, but none of that mattered. It really didn't matter. This person was so informed and so beautiful and so light that none of that even matters. Before, oh, that would have been a problem. There would have been no conversation. And if a conversation came up, guess what? I'm going to try to tell you about God's kingdom, because what you got going on is not okay. But I don't know your soul. I don't know how God or how the universe is speaking to you. And who am I to
Mm-hmm.
presume that God only communicates with, he can't communicate the same way with everybody. He can't. It doesn't make any sense because I can communicate with you guys in a different way that I can communicate with Mike. Some of my girlfriends, you have to communicate differently with them. People have different communication styles. I
Yes,
don't see
yes.
why the Most High, the universe, whatever you want to call it, would only have one communication style, especially when that originating source of life is the reason why we have multiple languages in the first place.
That's so
Let's not
true.
forget the Tower of Babel,
Tower Babel, yeah.
confusion of the languages. That's what happened. So you come on. In the diversity in groups and people and ethnicities, I firmly believe, and this is just my belief, people can disagree, whatever, that based off of your origin, your roots, your history, your ancestry, the language of your people, that is how the creator, whomever, decides to speak to those people. And it may look differently, but if you look through mythology, you can see the hierarchy of the gods. They're all the same, even though they got the different names.
Yeah.
It makes sense because everybody was speaking a different language. So I used to remember hearing them say, oh, it's not, all religions don't lead to the same path. Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It's only one road to get there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, as I sit back and we use our critical thinking and our minds are able to do that exploration more, it's like, I don't know if that really, no, that don't make sense for, everybody else to be wrong or punished simply because they're following the path that resonates with them. Because again, you don't know how God's calling people. Like, I
Yeah.
am not God. I can't even say anything about that. So yeah, so if you was an atheist, if you wanted to be transgender, you wanted to be LGBTQ, whatever, you want to tattoo your whole body, I don't care about that.
That's
That's not
awesome.
that's not me to even worry about that. I don't care. You
Same.
nice, you kind, you good vibes, you give to other people. You're not a taker, you're a giver. Like, that's all that matters.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I never been on a cruise neither, so that's my push. So
Oh yeah. So the one thing we were talking about is maybe like going to Bermuda, right? Because
okay.
there's a port out of Baltimore, or Jersey, somewhere over there. So that's kind of like a midway point, for people. But then also we have a port here in Tampa that could take us over to like Mexico, Belize, Honduras. And then of course you have ports in Miami that can take you to Bahamas or, Jamaica. We could even do a South Caribbean cruise, which is Aruba and all of that. So we
Okay.
have options for how to make it affordable or where people want to go. But what I would definitely say is that everyone would know at least 12 months in advance. So then that gives you, because probably the most expensive part is going to be trying to get your flight or, renting the car and getting there. Because like I said, the package is really good. So
Okay.
the transport is going to be your most expensive part. But MJ, you said we can drink till we drop.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's do it.
What I will say is everybody is adults. Just because we inviting you, I do not have ownership over your behavior. Okay, please know that whatever you do is what you do, and any of those pros and cons will stay with you. And guess what? Unless you out here looking a hot mess, I will claim you because I do believe in decorum. I do believe that you have to represent yourself well. And I know there's pressure to not fall into certain stereotypes, right? Because once you leave
Mm-hmm.
the organization, you're supposed to be a mess. You're supposed to be all types of all over the place. You're supposed to be this crazy debauched person. Like, so I don't want anyone putting their lives at risk. You can't swim. You might not want to take those last two drinks. So
Right.
we are on a boat in the ocean, so just know that. And
Exactly.
it's going to be fun. Like when we go, it's going to be fun. Sun, tans, whatever. I don't judge you for your bathing suit. Like, I don't care. I might be a little scandalous myself. But that's just expression, it's expression. And we see
I,
everything every day anyway. So it's like this, whatever, it shouldn't be a problem. Long story short, if y'all want to go shirtless or if you want to go European style Speedo, why should I care? Why should I feel some type of way? I'm an adult. You know what I'm saying? I've had
right.
children. I've been in situations. I've
No
had a husband.
judging.
Yeah, like let's not act like we don't know what this is.
I am
No.
self-conscious though about my body. I'll probably wear a shirt.
Listen, I'm still subconscious too, but you know what I'm saying? It is what if you
I
decided
got I
to
got the
buy this,
belly, man.
guess what? I'm not even gonna say what I'm gonna say because my grandfather had a term for that, but I love him to death. He's 92 this year, y'all. 92.
That's the big
Wow.
wow.
I have to go and see him next year. I went to his birthday or to see him for his birthday last year, and that was probably the moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually can celebrate birthdays, and I'm celebrating someone that I like. My grandpa was my everything, my pop. Because I used to go over there after school when I was a kid, you know, probably from first to third or fourth grade. We would sit there, I would watch his westerns with him. We would watch all the game shows like Big Bucks, No Whammies, and Pyramid, and of course Jeopardy and
cool.
Wheel of Fortune. And he would always give me snacks, y'all. He had like this popcorn, like the little cheese puffs. He would feed me. And I would just be there on the living room floor, just sitting there hanging out with my grandpa. So he means a lot to me. And to be able to have celebrated his birthday, especially as a person, he's almost 100 years old. You think about that. How much change. He's living history. And do you guys still have your grandparents? Are they still alive?
Just my grandmother. Basically everybody is dead. It's weird. Yeah, we have one grandmother left and one aunt. I have 3 aunts left. That's it.
Okay. And Justin, you said you have yours?
Yeah. Yep. I had my great grandmother for a little while. She just passed a few years ago, but that was actually one of the first birthdays that I celebrated. When you were talking about your grandfather's birthday, I think it was when she turned 90. That was one of the first birthdays I celebrated, and that was when I really understood how special and how important a birthday is. It's not about being selfish or being arrogant or or demons or any of the stuff that witnesses talk about. It's truly a celebration of life. Why you're still alive. It's the anniversary of the day you were born. Exactly. Why shouldn't that be celebrated? I mean,
yeah. Your video was one of the videos I saw about the birthdays, by the way. That's what helped me realize birthdays are not a big deal. I mean, they are a big deal, but not to them. Like, it shouldn't be a big deal.
Now, MJ, you're in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Okay. So I know like when next time we come up to Rhode Island, we'll have to just give you a heads up and see. Because it would be nice to do a meetup while we're there. Because I know Rhode Island is like nothing. So we went to like Mystic, Connecticut, came back to Providence the same day. We were trying to go to Boston, so and those are like 45-minute hour each way. So if you're in Rhode Island, you can get to all those other surrounding states and like
let me know.
So we'll come up there and like hang out or whatever.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we had meetups, and I've traveled a bit to these meetups, and I know some people too that I could probably let know too. Yeah. We've even got to a house and had food, drinks. I remember this last meetup we went with Joe and Fran. I met up with Joe and Fran the last time, and we had this tower made out, I forget if it was waffles or what, but it was supposed to symbolize JW, I mean the watchtower. And we had all the kids knock it down. Obviously we didn't tell them what it was, but we just knock it. We all did the countdown and everything, and they just knocked it down, and then they ate. Like, it was fun. But that was my last experience doing a meetup. That was fun. But I've had a couple where we like meet up at restaurants and stuff. And like you said, like there some are atheists, some gay, lesbian, whatever it is, and we all just have a good time. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I've met some of the most beautiful people in that queer community, and I've just like literally when I swan dived, y'all, I swan dived. I'm not gonna lie, because even Mike was like, "Wait a minute, I woke up before you, and you just went full steam ahead." Like I was saying, the nose rings, the 3 tattoos. I have some close friends that do drag. I've been to a drag show. I've gone to what they call gay bars. I've gone to the ball where they do the little duck walks and all that kind of stuff. And it's great. It's so fun. It's other forms of creativity. There's a lot of art that goes into that, showmanship. And then I'm thinking, how brave to live in your truth, to own it when you know you're going to come up against all types of ridicule and obstacles and discrimination. And I'm just like, wow, they're making this choice. It was actually inspiring for me to say, if they could do this, I can do this, And to be honest with you, it's one of the most welcoming environments I've ever been in. Going to a ball, and I thought it was like ballroom dancing, like they're going in here. No, They have people who know how to do all these dancing with their hands, and they make it was mind blowing. Then you have others, like they call everybody out, in the audience. So if you want to be involved in the show,
That's
you can
cool.
do that. So they have all these different categories. You saw people being nervous on the sidelines, and they're like, come on out. And I didn't feel out of place. I didn't feel out of place at all, like not one bit. And I think that was really cool too, to get rid of those phobias or those stereotypes. Like you said, Justin, trying to do that deconstructing, that reprogramming. MJ, you was like, you just got to throw yourself into situations just to learn other cultures and different things.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things that I wanted to learn. That's one of the communities I was never able to be close to or even informed about, and to learn their language and the way that they speak and their struggles as well, because we have a lot in common with that LGBTQ community. We do. They knows what it's like to deal with social isolation, to be shunned, to be kicked out of their homes, to be let go of their jobs. Like they understand what that's like, to be different or to know who you are and then have to keep that person inside. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, this Be Free movement, literally, it's a human rights movement for everyone to be able to just live in their authentic selves. And
Yeah.
I love it. I would do it again. Like if we ever around, I'd be like, y'all, you want to go to this drag show, or you want, because they do drag and brunch, so
Oh,
going to
okay.
brunch and they put on a show. Listen, I'll be blowing kisses, they come over and dance with you, and you're like, hey, and I'm like, man, who did your makeup? Like, can we talk? I'm like, some of these men do makeup better than women. I'm like, how? Show me. But they're super sweet, like really sweet. I haven't had a bad experience, I would say, with any other communities that I've decided to get to know. The
Mm.
yogi community, right? I started doing hot yoga. There's like a Buddhist temple not too far from me, so I put that on my list of things to do. A couple weeks ago, I actually went to church.
Oh,
Actually
nice.
went to a church for the first time for a service. Normally we only go for funerals, and then even
Yeah.
that sketchy. But it was a beautiful experience. I took it as going to a motivational speaker type of environment, and I sat back at first and I just kind of watched and listened. And the singing was great. It wasn't over the top. The pastor was not what I expected. It was not. It was actually really, like, I could see myself going back to that, service. Now, I haven't gotten to the point where I want to be a member of any particular group just because I'm a free spirit and that's just how I roll. But I would definitely go back to that particular congregation to get some good motivation or to hear the word, again. I can't wait to go to church with my aunt. My aunt is like, she's like a god mom to me. Like my aunt's been like a heaven sent for me, especially not having my mom in my life now. Like my aunt has become my mom. And she's always been like this encouraging, inspiring woman because she held down her children and she worked, single mom, and I saw her going through things as a youth, but I didn't know fully what was going on. So to be able to have a relationship with her now and to hear her side of the story, because we were once a family and we became witnesses and we got fractured.
Mm-hmm.
She had questions, why can I spend more time with my nieces? Why are we living, 3-4 blocks away and we're not getting together? We're not doing things. Why is something okay now, but then next month or next year it's not okay? She came to my mother's house when my sisters were graduating. When they graduated, one was disfellowship, one was not. So my aunt was a part of that experience to see the difference. Like, okay, one gets to move about freely in the house and celebrate and do all this stuff, and you got the other one, she in her room. Like, isn't this a graduation party for them? So just a lot of questions that I don't think too witnesses realize that their behaviors actually cause people on the outside to be like, wait a second, what is actually happening? So
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to go to a service with my aunt. Like when I go up there, if she goes to any type of service, wherever she's at, I want to be like holding her hand, going through that moment and that memory with her, because I've never had that. And I love her. And I'm so glad that she has, I don't want to say stepped in, but allowed herself to be vulnerable and available to me. She is a blood tie for me because all of my blood ties were severed, so
Mm-hmm.
it feels good to at least have that thing, that sense of purpose, that this is my ancestry, like, like I can't fully put words around it, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
there were moments where I just would cry in my car talking to her because I'm like, I cannot believe. And she would always say everything I needed to hear, like every time. I'm like, oh my gosh, Auntie, like I feel like the heavens, you know, the universe, God, Jesus, whatever, it's speaking to me through you. And I love her. I really do. I don't think she fully understands. Like, I'm not going to cry.
I know exactly what you mean. My mom is that way, but sadly, she's a witness. So it's like she was the one I would always call, always talk to
Yeah.
about anything, and she always had the right answer. But I
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. So I'm still waiting. Hopefully,
For you,
one day.
wait for your auntie.
No, my mom.
I know
Yeah.
that super.
Don't give up hope. Don't
Yeah.
give up hope. Anybody's able to do it. I got a video coming up talking about that. Just
Yeah.
you never know what it's going to be, but sometimes it's just
Right.
something small that makes people
Yeah.
start asking the right questions. But hey,
You
I
gotta
gotta go help out
skedaddle.
with the baby. Yeah, but before I leave though, I just wanted to say because you talked about that feeling of being just like you were duped, with leaving the witnesses. You were fooled for so many years. I've seen some people in the comments talking about just that struggle of feeling that regret. Like, wow, I gave them so many years. And I just want to say, yeah, you can't get those years back, unfortunately. And yeah, we were duped, but I would say you can reframe that, and it's actually a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise
Mm-hmm.
because majority of people out there, they go through their lives and they're on this track and they just go wherever that track leads them. They don't ever question it, right?
Yeah.
Whatever road their parents or their teachers or whatever road that they were pushed down, they just go for it and they don't ever question it. But with us, we've been put in this position where we have had to question everything that we thought was real. We've had to question the road that we were on. We've had to
Mm-hmm.
question everything that we were taught about society and about ourselves. And because of that, we now have this opportunity to reframe our entire way of thinking, to reframe our whole life, to jump track to something else that's more beneficial for us. So, for sure, we missed out on a lot of years of living, but I would say a majority of people out there are not living; they're just existing. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean, when you're
I
next
would.
time you're driving to work, look around at the people in traffic. They're not there. They're just going through the motions. They are just existing.
Mm-hmm.
They have no, they're going down the path that they were given, and they'll go through the motions, and then when it gets to the weekend, they might have a couple seconds of actually being aware of their life and what they want for themselves. But as ex-witnesses, being put in this position in this position where we have had to question everything and have had to rebuild our life, rebuild ourselves from the ground up, it really is a blessing. And what it will do is that it gives you the chance. It's not going to do it for you, but you have the chance, if you take it, to actually live, not just exist, to actually live. So I would encourage anybody that's struggling with those lost years just to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those years may be lost, but my goodness, the years ahead of you, you have the awareness to actually live those years. Because had you not had that experience, those you would have
Yeah.
been maybe not, but you could have been one of those people that get to their deathbed and they say, "Man, I could have did this, I could have did that. I didn't even
That's
live.
true. Yeah.
I just went to work and did this and went through the motions, and now I'm here." So I just want to leave you guys with that, and
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
got to sign off and take care of the little one.
No
Thank
problem,
you so much
man.
for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on too.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
yeah, we
Appreciate
got to
you.
do some more videos in the future.
Heck yeah. All right, brother. Take care.
Hey,
I wanted to hit up some of the comments that I starred so that we can get to them before we
Oh
head
yeah.
out.
Yes. Yeah.
So Kat said my 29-year anniversary is on September 25th, 1995.
I got.
She got out. That's awesome. Dinah says I considered 1987 to 2008 was my service to the cult. 2008 to 2023 was hiding in shame and self-medication, and still currently recovering. I feel you.
I met Dinah, and my goodness, girl, she shared two of her poems there at the protest, and they were absolutely beautiful. I love that she has incorporated poetry, right, writing that reflective, and for her having the courage to share. She wasn't, I don't think she was there last year, but this year she was our second speaker because I asked her, I was like, do you have a preference of when you want to go up? And she was like, just not first. And I got to hang out with her that Sunday at the pool party, and like that was what I liked was the intimacy of some of those groups after the protest, because
Yeah.
that's when you like people say what they say. They share with you the story. They share with you over the top the trauma. But in those intimate settings, you get to really get to the iceberg that's underneath.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, like those are the moments that I enjoy the most, is being able to physically be present and just listen and to feel the feelings with the person. So thank you, Dinah, for your courage and for speaking up and for even taking the journey. Like some people just don't.
Yeah.
But the fact that you took that first step, girl, high five to you. You are in the group. I told you we like a gang. You gonna have to get jumped out. You hear me? We got you. We're
Heck
not
yeah.
letting you go nowhere, girl.
Yeah, I'm glad that she was able to do that, and a lot, especially this Fallen Ashes, she also got to speak out and speak her truths and emotions.
Yo, you see her song? Have you listened to the song she put out?
I haven't really known.
Yeah, she put out, that was her way, one of her ways of coping, because she's a songwriter.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, like her song, I first listened to it on her TikTok, like just a few little snippets. But
Yeah.
now she's fully released it or launched it. So, girl, you should put in the comments where people can go listen to your
That's
song.
true. Yeah,
It's
she
actually
should.
really, really good.
I was gonna tell you too. You should put before I forget, or text it to me, and maybe I can fill in the description with those book titles that you were recommending.
Oh
So that
yeah.
because I myself never got into book reading, and I've always wanted to, but I was like, I don't know what's the right book. But those books sounded like it was what would help me a lot, and I would appreciate if you text it to me. I'll put in the description, and it'll help out
Yeah.
others as well.
I'll text you several books. I just started with those because they were small books, like bite size. They're
Hmm.
on Audible, most book streaming platforms too. Because I do it both ways sometimes. Sometimes I'll stream, and then other times I'll read along as I stream. Only
Okay.
because I am a kinesthetic learner, so I like to feel, touch, look. I like
Mm,
all the stimulus in order to learn.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll send them to you. We're actually talking about doing a book club in Liberated Consciousness, so that's why I
Okay.
always encourage people to join the Facebook group. So people like
Yeah.
you, me, whatever we have going on, that we're coping, cool things
Hmm.
that we're doing, memories, all of that positivity will continue to fuel us all to keep going and to check in on each other and things like that. So yeah, I
Yep.
look forward to hearing people's thoughts on what we should do for our book that we're going to all check out, together.
Yes. Yeah. Liberated consciousness. I'm gonna put it up here so people can see. Um.
Oh, and we are fully registered in the state of Florida as a 501(c)(3). So I'm happy that we were able to do that. So that's going to be exciting. I'm just like super stoked.
Yeah. Um. Oh no, this is actually the. This is not the actual page, but it's from. But it's from the page. Liberated consciousness. You can find it right here. So send an invite. We have 157 members. You have 157 members.
You
You
can say
guys.
you can say we. It's
Yeah. I guess I can say we.
yeah,
But yeah, join that. It should be. You guys will enjoy it. I love it.
yeah. I know
Um.
people on there that just kind of be in the back hearting or checking stuff out. I'm like, we want to hear from you. Okay, your
But the
story,
fact
your experience is so needed.
the fact that you have 150 people though, that I mean, we have 150, that's a lot. I mean, I haven't seen a XJW community grow that fast.
I know.
And that just goes to show that this Be Free movement is very impactful. Ruby says she wants to know if we have any plans for next protest or even locally.
Yeah. So from what I understand, as the team lead for the Be Free, there's no definitive time for the next protest in terms of next year. But what we are all proposing, those of us who were there, is people want to do a Be Free movement in their city or in their state by being connected with others that are in that region. So if anybody wants to take that on in their state, wherever you're at, like, yes, I want to do something in the spring, or I want to do something, this winter, you have that ability to kind of take the movement, of course, treat it with dignity, with respect, and put on your own protests in your state or in your city in front of your state buildings or your government buildings that are there. So yeah, in the chat in the Facebook group, we can all have more conversation about what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find allies, people that are actually in your area who want to get involved too. And we can just do that more often. Just pop up, be free. It's a movement, you know. So the girl I met from Alberta, Canada, they can pop up and do it up there because I was surprised. I don't know much about what's going on with the movement in Canada. I don't know. Like she was Alberta, which is further north in Canada versus like
Hmm.
Toronto. So think about the masses of people that you can affect in your own area versus just once a year because there's timing involved, there's travel, there's hotel stays, there's Airbnb. So there's a lot of expenses that do come with trying to converge on one place at one time.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely going to encourage people to, yes, let's talk about this in the Facebook group. Let's see how we can get some other pop-up protests going, just because it's more economical for people. It
Yeah.
makes sense, and I feel like everybody should be able to be involved and be able to participate, and it shouldn't be a hardship or a strain on anybody, right? We've already been there. I used to go through that with the 3-day conventions, calling off work, so you're losing pay, paying for your hotels, paying for your gas, paying for all your lunches. Then you got to buy clothes, make sure they're appropriate, all this other stuff. We don't want anyone to have to go through that if you're not in a position to go through that. So let's just do local pop-ups and call it a day. And then as we
Hmm.
continue to grow and get strength and, you know, get these grants, get these opportunities to actually help support the nonprofit that's going to work in our advantage, that's what I'm suggesting, Ruby. But girl, you know, we can hook up at Armature Works here. We can go to Ybor City and we can just hang out and brainstorm if you would like to do that. So yes, Ruby girl, I'm with it.
Heck yeah. Um, that made me think about how can we go about creating signs and maybe clothing with
Right.
liberated consciousness that maybe if we do this protest next year, we can like stand out
Get
more.
branded. That's right. I would love that. And we know that there is a variety of people with talents and skills, right? Like yourself. So if you do have a talent or a skill and you're like, this is my contribution to the movement, whatever that may be, let us know. Put it in the group. Like, hey, I'm good at this. I'm good at building websites or I'm good at printing. I'm whatever it is that you're
Yes.
good at doing, let us know if you are available to assist the movement in that way. You know, if you have
Hmm.
tons of followers on your platform, let us know. You know what I mean? If you whatever, you're like, hey, when y'all come to meet up in this area, y'all can meet up at my home. It literally doesn't matter. And you can help in so many different ways if that's truly what you want to do. So let's
Definitely.
talk about it. Let's make it happen.
Heck yeah. Don't be afraid, by the way, you guys. Because we are all like the Bible says, one flesh now, real flesh. So we can all do this together.
We have all shed some type of blood too at this point, right?
Kat says that Justin is like Michael Jackson of the XJW community. Ivy is Beyonce,
Uh-oh.
and
Uh-oh.
I'm Prince in the XJW community.
Yo, that's huge for you to be Prince though. Like Prince, MJ, and Beyonce. Wow. Thank you for the
Jeez,
compliment, right?
heck yeah,
Like, come on.
that's awesome. Oh
I love
man,
it.
there was a few other comments, but I believe that these were like the ones we were crucial that we could answer. And oh, there's been 10 new comments. Hold on, let's see what we have here. They're just talking amongst each other. Oh, I believe she's talking about the song that what was her name? Okay, you Fallen Ashes. What was her real name? I forget.
Ash. We just call
Is
her
it
Ash.
just Ash? Okay.
Mhm.
Ashley, Ash. Okay.
That's right.
All right, cool. She says I'm gonna do a protest in New York. I don't know where to start though. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna join on the Facebook group.
Girl, yeah, we'll help you figure it out.
Yeah,
We are
that's
family.
why I said yeah. We're like one flesh. So we just you have a question, just
Yeah,
you're
if
not
you need
alone.
some help, reach out. Like, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
start putting our money where our mouth is.
heck yeah. But is if there's any more questions, you guys, once again, feel free to reach out to Ivy or me or Justin or anybody in this community. Don't be afraid. Visit the Liberated Conscious Facebook group and join them. Do you have a Discord or no? for
No.
liberated consciousness? No.
Should I get one? I'm at the beginning of,
Um,
not at the tail end. So, y'all help me. Y'all gotta help me out. People don't realize this. People's like, oh my gosh, they think I'm 27, 28, 32. I am 42 years old, okay?
listen, that's not a
I have
big
a
deal. That's not a
17-year-old
problem.
child. Like, it's not a big deal, but I do recognize the gap in terms of information. Like, I'm thinking about my mom and trying to get her to
That's
understand
true.
passwords. Like, no, mom, you logged into your Google account, but then so I acknowledge that technology and different things are moving so fast. There's so many applications, so many ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Yes, if y'all like, hey, this is a better platform for this, or this, I am never beyond learning. Okay, I like to work smarter, not harder. I believe in efficiency. So y'all do share. Okay,
Yeah.
you will never get that from me.
Listen, I'm just happy that this is even a thing, that we're forming something. No matter how we do it, it's out there now. It's going to continue being out there. And we've made it to the White House. I didn't even think that was a possibility. So,
I
and we're
know.
going to keep doing that, right? I mean, I'm assuming
Yeah.
we're going to keep doing that for years to come. Hopefully not too long, because we want them to wake up already. But
Yeah. We want to be able to support the people that's going to wake up eventually, because that's going to be extremely traumatizing for them. When we start to win cases and things like that in the United States. And so you think about people who've been in that organization for 50 years, 60 years, people
Yeah.
who are going to be, quote unquote, waking up in their 70s and 80s. I mean, I can't imagine the level of devastation that that's going to cause. So we want to make sure that we're in a position too, again, to show love on both sides. We accept it and we forgive it, right? My mom's still in, but guess what? I also know her story before she was a witness and while she's still in that organization. So for me to put the heat to her, it's not really considerate of me to not see it from her side of the spectrum. As hard as that was. Now, for the first 3 years, I was like, no. No. But now, working on that healing, I'm like, okay, it does hurt and I do miss her, but she has a right to choose too. She has a human right to make a decision, and I understand her, even though it still hurts. So we're busting some moves, MJ, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be devastating. But we have to be there for not only each other, but because there's people who love their family. I know people who are out who are like, I'm just going to go through the motions and get back because they want those blood ties, all that relationship, and we shouldn't judge those people who choose to do that. You can't tell somebody to just stay on the outside and white knuckle through it. No, if whatever your path is to sanity, because that's what we're talking about, people should be allowed to choose their path and their route to sanity, to feel accepted, to feel loved. And it's going to look different for each and every one of us. And we have to get to that place of accepting and learning how to be non-judgmental. It is not something that we were taught. I don't care what they say. We were taught to be highly judgmental and critical of everybody. Wives was judging their husbands. Husband is judging their wives. Or you didn't do your Bible reading today. Or you're not going out service on Saturday with me. Like, the level of judgment was through the roof. So I can't stress that enough, you guys, is teach yourselves how to not be judgmental.
We want to be different, and we are different, but we got to continue being different, continue showing others that being different is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yes. I'm goofy, I'm quirky, and I'm a weirdo, and I love it.
I'm short, caramel, and cute, and that's all that
I
matters.
love that. I saw that. So sweet. I was like, yes, own it.
Yeah, because I did a video with what's his name, with Wally and All Worldly, and I gave them titles. And for Wally, I gave him tall, dark, and handsome. So I figured, I mean, come on, according to a white man, he's dark. Okay, so
I'll pass the brown paper bag test. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So I decided I'll just do the opposite. So tall, short, dark, caramel, handsome, cute.
That's right. That fits you. Okay, what would my nickname be? What would you make up for me?
You, I would say, I would say fire red, a liberating morning star, I guess. That's what I would name you. A liberating morning star. Because
Oh,
you are the one we go to, you're the one we see, you're the one that gives us direction, and you free us from all of that stuff. So, yes, a liberating morning star. That's what you are.
oh, thank you, MJ. You made me cry. I'm so
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's what I
that's
would name you.
the cause.
If you guys have better nicknames for any of us, feel free to put it in the comment section. But yeah.
In my family, you know you loved and you know that you a family if you got a nickname.
Yes.
Yeah, so drop y'all's nicknames for yourselves or each other's and liberated consciousness. Like any type of conversation, you guys, to get us laughing, it helps. If you had a childhood, my childhood nickname was Piggy, Miss Piggy.
Ooh.
But it wasn't because of, it was her temperament. They said I was a bossy little kid. You know, I was spoiled. Like I wanted what I wanted, you know. So that's why they were like, okay, little Miss Piggy.
Jeez.
I had a little baby fat still left to me, you know, of course. But
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I was like, okay, I'll be Piggy. Yes. Y'all wait on me, bring me my stuff. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So
At least you're owning it, you see? Like that's
yeah,
what
why
makes us different. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't who cares if the witnesses call you mentally unstable or wicked? Like just don't let that get to you. Own what you believe and a higher power knows what you are and that's all that matters. So
Yes. I would say that, MJ, that was hard for me to own my shadow side, my dark, what they would consider your dark side, because there's two sides to all of us. You can't have pros without cons. I
yeah.
can't be educated or intelligent without sometimes coming off as condescending, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't be, you know, let's say, for example, be like, oh my gosh, you're tall, you're so beautiful. But at some point in time, there's other people who may feel like, okay, you're being conceited or you're, you know, whatever. So I've learned to embrace both sides to a degree because sometimes those negative things are just perceptions or they could be driven by a person's own insecurities, right? So I try not to absorb those things anymore because before I would take every negative, every piece of criticism, all the feedback and be like, oh my gosh, I need to work on this. I need to do this. I fix. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Yes, I'm sarcastic. If you work in my nerves, I'm probably going to say something that may sound condescending. And when I reach my limits, if you don't respect my boundaries, then yeah, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation, you know? And that's just that. But we're all working on those things together. So for anybody that's listening or watching and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm this terrible person, whatever the things are that you think are bad about you, I need you to flip and go to the positive, the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You need to start seeing yourself on that other side because that's you too. That is definitely you too. You know, that's all I can say is embrace the positives. See yourself how Jehovah sees you. Right?
My guys, I remember that.
I know. But listen, I know you got to go too because you got to get to your baby.
Yeah, luckily, my wife didn't end
Hey,
up.
you know what I'm saying?
Luckily, my wife didn't go to Boston today, so she's been watching the baby.
Oh,
But no, I regardless, yeah. My what's that called? Camera. My camera might die any minute anyway. So,
okay.
but you know, I appreciate that you called me and Justin out here to discuss, just have a conversation. Next
Yeah.
time we do it, we can do it with maybe do another sip and shade, maybe do drinks or
Oh,
something
yeah.
fun. Maybe
So
have games.
we do want to do that actually next Saturday. Remember you said you can
Yeah,
come on
yes, yes, I'll
because I
be
would
there.
like to get all of the speakers if possible, but as many speakers that were available there. I want us to be able to do like a Zoom call. And for everybody that made it or couldn't make it, you know, we're going to do a quick little recap of the protest, maybe show some quick clips or videos, and then
Yeah.
it would be nice to do breakout rooms. So if people want to know more about
Oh,
your
yeah.
story, they can come into your room. You can have a nice, intimate conversation. There are some online game platforms we can play games. I think Kahoot is one of the platforms that you can play games on. I remember during the pandemic, somebody had done like an escape room experience over Zoom.
Okay.
So there's some opportunities or options, I should say, that Mike is considering to make it fun and engaging.
Okay.
So we'll definitely put that link for the Zoom into Liberated Consciousness, so everybody have it. They can join. They can mark their calendars next Saturday, September 28th,
Okay.
7 p.m.
Right.
We're just gonna be on there hanging out, having a good time. So yeah, bring your shades, bring your sips, And
Yeah.
we'll just have a good time. And your sips can be whatever. It could be Powerade, Gatorade, water. It could be chai tea. It could be whatever. It could be a cocktail, mocktail. It don't matter. Just
Okay.
have your sips and your shades.
Heck yeah. Awesome. I
All
can't
right,
wait for
man.
that.
Listen, I love you guys. Genuinely, sincerely. On the back end, I want you to know how we can provide you with some more support, especially during this difficult time. So it may not
Hmm.
seem like a lot, but we can help. Even a full tank of gas can help a person. And
Yeah.
so, for anybody listening or watching, we don't have to be wealthy to help. You know how they give those little infomercials, $1 a day. Listen, think about it. If there's 20 of us and everybody was to decide to give $5, then guess what? You may not have to worry about gas for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's real change, real impact. And we have to be okay with giving and we have to be okay with receiving. And I think
Yes.
that's probably the hardest part for us is to receive. So
Yeah.
y'all, we gonna start helping each other out in the smallest of ways, but they're big ways to the person that we're helping.
Yeah.
Right? That would help out, right?
Heck, yeah, it would. Doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
So let's help MJ out. I'm gonna put a call out there right now to let's help MJ out. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
So listen, here's what I'm gonna tell you to do. Put your Cash App in Liberated Consciousness. Can you do
Oh,
that for me?
sure. I feel weird asking
I
or
know we
putting it
feel
out
weird
there.
because we came from an organization that constantly has financially taken advantage of us.
Yeah.
But and this is no pressure. If somebody wants to contribute to you and allowing you to be able to get gas or get back and forth to work so you can provide for your family, that's practical help. That's practical help. I don't think you are asking for too much. Just like I don't think somebody else will be asking for too much. There's enough hands for us to do what we can, and groceries are astronomical right now. So
Yeah.
this is the type of help that Liberated Consciousness wants to be in a position to provide everyday regular stuff so that you can move on to your next phase of healing, your next moment of making a memory, because that impact is not just you, that's your wife and your 3 children.
Yeah. It's been pretty tough lately.
Yes. So thank you for leading the way, being a man, putting yourself out here, being vulnerable, and allowing others who truly love and care for you and your story resonates with them to say, hey, man, I got you. I got you.
It hasn't been easy, but you guys helped a lot too. I mean, especially you, Ivy, with your politeness and letting me be involved too. You know,
Letting
that's
you, I wanted you involved. You didn't have no options.
yeah. It's truly. I feel truly blessed and privileged that, and I've been talking to my wife lately that I've been wanting that for a while, feeling that sense of recognition, because it's been a while since I've even been up on a platform to give a speech. I know I do it on YouTube now, but it helps when you guys comment and give me feedback too. I want to feel like,
Making a difference.
yeah, I mean, I know I can make a difference, but I want to feel that you
Yes, man.
guys are acknowledging that I'm doing that. So it helps a
We're
lot.
gonna
Appreciate it.
virtually wrap our arms around you, MJ. Ain't that right, y'all?
Yeah.
Yes, because you look all cuddly anyway.
I have the
Our little short,
I have
caramel
the meat
cuties.
to provide the heat, you know?
Yes, yes. So, all right. I know that was pressure. I put you on the spot. It's still your choice as to whether or not you put your Zelle or your Cash App in the thing. Totally your choice. But just know that if you don't put it in the chat, I personally want you to send it to me because I want to help you.
All right, I put it
Mike
in the
and I want
chat.
to listen. Trust me. I've been to food pantries in recent times. I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, you go through things. I've had to call on a family member for financial support. I took a leave of absence from work last year because I was having a mental breakdown. Like, losing my daughter has altered my whole sense of self. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
We can't exist in a bubble. We're alone and we need each other. Like, that's the whole point of social isolation. They want to force us to come back because they make us believe that we don't have any support. We don't have a
Hmm.
system without them. And we have to prove them wrong, you guys. We have to. Hashtag this fellowship success. We can be successful and not be a part of that organization. So when you're
Yeah.
making your memories and you're posting your pictures, hashtag this fellowship success. Show people what it looks like to be liberated for real. Oh,
Yeah.
I hear my baby calling.
Yeah, he's crying over there.
I know, right? We're gonna let you go for real this time, but MJ, you
Okay.
are, and we will
Thank
support
you.
you any way that we can. And thank you for allowing us to help you.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate all your hard work as well. And until next time, let's do this. I'll end the stream now. And if you guys have any further questions, my email is in my YouTube profile. So is my Cash App and my Discord. So if anything, you guys can reach out and reach out to Ivy as well, Liberated Consciousness. So we'll check you guys out. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thanks for having me. Now off to the gym.
All right. Take care,
All
guys.
right,
Thank you so
toodles.
much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. And there it is. Bye bye, guys.